Question. When we come out of the Art Still interview, we before were going to be already on headset, but now you're coming out on camera on us. Do we still come out on the headsets, or do we wait until you go off of us? It's kind of a bad question. Okay, what I started to say is, when we come out of the Art Still interview, that was when we were going to change to headsets, right? Oh, that's right. What am I thinking?
Well, do we go sit down, or are we still on camera?
We're still on camera. That's what it is.
So we stay here after Art Still.
That's right. Oh, you are?
Yeah, okay, so
that's what we need to know.
When Still comes on, we can turn around and sit down. Yeah, that's right. So when Still comes on.
Well, Jimmy had said something about a camera shot. The Detroit Lions, one of the surprise teams in the NFL this year. They have a 2-game lead on the NFC Central Division with a 5-2 record. One of the reasons is number 16, Gary Danielson, the second-ranked quarterback in the NFC. Last week in the losing cause against Chicago, he hit Leonard Thompson for this 34-yard touchdown strike. But the real excitement in Motor City centers around number 20. Billy Sims, the #1 draft pick from the University of Oklahoma. He leads the NFL in rushing, was 704 yards, and he's been held to an average of 55 yards the last 3 games. Kansas City, they lost their first 4. They've won their last 3 over fine football teams, and one of the turnaround reasons, number 4, Steve Fuller, their second-year quarterback. Last week, he tossed 2 touchdown passes against Denver. This one for 24 yards to tight end Al Dixon, his first and only catch as a Kansas City Chief. But then he came back with the longest touchdown pass of his career. He'll scramble around and toss this one to wide receiver Henry Marshall. It will cover 46 yards as Marshall had 6 catches for 103 yards in that win against the Denver Broncos. As today, the Kansas City Chiefs play host to the Detroit Lions. A beautiful facility here in Kansas City, Missouri, Arrowhead Stadium. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender along with John Madden. And, John, I thought that you might come in here in disguise because you caused Kansas City so much misery through the years.
We did. We had a lot of great games here, but as an old coach, you learn a lot of tricks. See, when we were down in the field, you come through the tunnel and up the elevator. You sneak up here. You don't walk through the stands the way you wanted to.
Even as big as you are. But you had your 100th win here.
That was a big game for us. We always had a lot of great games here. Every time we came to Kansas City, it was a fight.
The Detroit Lions are struggling, and one of the reasons, John, is that their offensive line is really chopped out.
I really believe that all football starts with the offensive line, and I think that the Lions are finding that out, although they still have Billy Sims, who's a threat anytime he gets the ball.
The Chiefs have a lot of respect for Billy Sims. Art Still, their fine young pro defensive end, talked about Billy Sims. What kind of problems he'll pose for them today?
Well, Billy Sims is one of the better backs in the leagues right now, and I compare him with Earl Campbell, O.J. Anderson, and in order to beat Detroit, we have to contain him and also a couple other guys on the team, Danielson and Dexter Buzzy, and they got some fine wide receivers too at the same time.
Kansas City, while they started out slowly, John, they're the exact opposite of Detroit. They have their offensive line healthy now.
That's true. They got Jack Rudney back and at center and Charlie Getty at right tackle, and that has really made a big difference in this Kansas City football team. You know, it puts confidence in everyone. It's not only the offensive line, but it's also the quarterback, the wide receivers, and even the defense.
All right, you're looking at the twin safeties for Kansas City. The Detroit Lions have won the toss. Carlos Carson, a young rookie from LSU, is back there deep. And kicking off will be Ed Murray, who's been a rookie sensation from the University of Tulane. And wait a minute, we got a false start here. The ball blew over just as Murray was getting ready to tee it up. This is a big football game. We always talk about that, John, but you get the feeling Kansas City thinks they're on a surge, and Detroit, they might wonder just how good they are.
That's right. They wonder if they're as good as they were when they started off undefeated for 5 weeks, or if they're as bad as they were when they lost 2 out of their last 3 games.
Eddie Murray hits that one very high. Carlos Carson, that's the rookie from LSU. And he is really belted at the 16-yard line by Ken Callicutt. Callicutt wasted no time on that. And Carson getting up a little gingerly after he took a real shot. They're going to move the ball just short of the 17-yard line. And let's look now at the offense. This is a fine offensive line.
Right, and we see Jack Rudney back there, Charlie Getty at right tackle, but I think the best of the whole bunch is left tackle Matt Herkenhoff.
And there's a wide receiver department. Marshall, that big game a week ago. Belton is starting in place of the injured Tony Reed.
Right, and I think we'll see a lot of 3 wide receivers today.
And there is Steve Fuller. He was drafted in the first round a year ago for Kansas City, and he's going to throw on first down. Broken up beautifully that time by Dave Purifoy. Purifoy, who has 3.5 sacks this year, an excellent pass rusher, and boy, that will mess up your passing game in a hurry.
That's right. That's the thing that we always teach those defensive line. Get across the line, get your hands up, make them throw over or through something.
This team has 22 sacks. That's 4th in the NFL, and the man that leads them is Al Baker with 5.5.
And John Woodcock will be a factor today.
And Stan White, he is the coach on the field for this Detroit Lions team. Ray Oldham, he's taken over for Luther Bradley, who's on the injured reserve list. 2nd down and 10. Al Dixon goes in motion. Fuller gives off to Belton. Forrest Belton has running room. He's out to the 25. Ken Fantetti, the middle linebacker. 2nd round pick a year ago from Wyoming. With the stop, that's about a yard short of the first down.
And we see it's a trap play here. The Chiefs do a lot of trapping where they pull the guards and they let an end come across the field, get up the field, then they bring the guard across and trap them. They don't do a lot of man blocking, but they like to pull the guards and kick out on the end.
They have 2 tight ends now on this short yardage play. 3rd down, a yard to go. As Henry Marshall comes out, Beckman along with Mike Williams are in at the tight end positions. On a 3rd and 1, Fuller to Ted McKnight. He has the first down. And Ted McKnight, there's a man you know very well. You drafted him in the 2nd round when you were in Oakland.
We drafted him, and of course my claim to fame is cut him. We let him go, and of course he's come here to Kansas City and he's done an outstanding job.
That's the only mistake you've ever made.
No, I made a few at it.
Just a couple. You see the stats on Ted McKnight, and so the Chiefs have a first down at the 28-yard line. This Detroit Lion defense has been number 3 against the rush in the NFC, 4th overall in the NFL, so it has not been easy to run against it. Fuller now with the backs of Belton and McKnight behind him. That's Henry Marshall in motion. McKnight is going to get to the 30. Well, he stays on his feet to the 34-yard line. An excellent job that time by McKnight. That was Ken Fantetti, who last week had 9 tackles and 5 assists in that loss against the Chicago Bears. So they're going to come to a 2nd down and 5.
The interesting thing about this play, I think, is we see that they play without a tight end. It was on first down. They had 3 wide receivers in there. They came in motion with Henry Marshall, who really becomes the tight end in that situation, and then they ran back to the other side.
John, we've seen a lot of that this year, everywhere we go.
I think that's a big thing in the National Football League today, and I think you have to do it. I think you have to spread the defense out.
2nd down, 5. Fuller with pressure from Purifoy. Tried to hit McKnight, and I'll tell you, Ray Oldham timed that to the point you thought he had a shot at the interception. Oldham is a veteran who's really given this team a shot in the arm.
Right, and he was waiting for that one. He knew what that one was all about. He saw McKnight coming out there, and he just zeroed in on him.
As a coach, you stand on the sideline, and that ball must seem like it's in the air forever when it's headed over there and you're on the offense.
Not as long as it seems for the player.
3rd down and 5. Some changes being made as Detroit now will come in with their nickel defense, bringing in an extra defensive back and bringing out a linebacker. And there's a look at that defense. Stan White calls all the defensive plays.
Yes, he does. And, he's been a great addition to this Detroit defense.
On a 3rd and 5, Fuller with time. Good protection, but he's going to run with it. 35. He has a first down to the 45-yard line, and this is a dimension that Steve Fuller gives Kansas City. He won a game a couple of weeks ago on a 38-yard scramble.
He sure did, and we'll see this again. And the thing that their offensive line coach, Joe Spencer, was telling me that when he had trouble with the offensive line, he had to scramble. Now he has good protection. He's still scrambling sometimes when he doesn't have to. But the reason he scrambled that time was because that there was no one open downfield. He had no one to throw it to.
John, this guy is averaging 4.7 a carry. That gives you a good idea how effective he's been. There it is, the stat on him.
He and Billy Sims.
First down from the 45-yard line for Kansas City. Just underway, Ted McKnight. McKnight close to the 49-yard line. Fantetti again in on the stop for this Detroit Lion team. Detroit started out with a 4-0 record. Then they were ambushed by Atlanta, came back to beat New Orleans, and were pretty well pounded last week by Chicago. Let's look at some scores. Atlanta, boy, what a big win that is. A tie in the NFC West now for first place.
We were impressed with both of those teams.
Washington's won 2 in a row. New Orleans still the only team in the NFL that hasn't won, and Buffalo bounced back today, and that is a real upset.
That sure is.
31-13. We'll keep you posted on the scores and other games that are going at this moment. Forrest Belton, and Belton is close to the first down as he moves it to the 45 of Detroit. That's Stan White, the 9-year veteran out of Ohio State, over to make the stop. White came from Baltimore for a draft pick. Also coming over from Baltimore was linebacker coach Maxie Bond. And so they have such communication that Maxie just lets Stan take over during the course of a game.
Right, and they can read each other's minds. Maxie on the sideline can tell Coach Monty Clark exactly what defense Stan White is calling.
All right, already Kansas City's 2 for 2 on third down conversions. They have a third and a short yard here. Diving over is Arnold Morgado. He is their short yardage man out of Hawaii. He's a man that Coach Mark Levy said never fumbles. Then after he told us that, he knocked on wood.
He knocked on wood and said hasn't fumbled. That's an old coaching thing. You know, when you talk about fumbles or interceptions or anything bad that can happen, you always knock on wood, and because you're sure when you say it, it's going to happen the next day.
I didn't know you guys are that superstitious. They did get the first down. Morgado able to go over the top and inside the 45 for that first down. Good sustained drive right now for this Kansas City team.
We'll see it here again. There's really no penetration, so Morgado can come and he can get that penetration, get up over the line.
First down now inside the 45. This drive almost 5 minutes old. Here's Belton, and Belton on a first down picks up 3 yards. Woodcock making the stop for the Detroit Lions, and John Mendenhall, number 64, has been shaken up. Mendenhall. And here's the final. Green Bay over Minnesota 16-3, and we welcome the viewers of that game to our game here in Arrowhead Stadium. We have 10:01 left in this first quarter. This is the initial series of the game as Kansas City taking the opening kickoff. Mendenhall is down. We have a timeout on the field. No score from Arrowhead. The Lions against the Chiefs.
Rodeo cowboy, never settling down. Don't you ever get lonesome from your traveling around.
When the day's work is done and the competition was a little rough, it's good to get back to some easy riding and a friend.
That's what friendly skies are all about.
I spent the whole day on my feet. I wish I could say that.
Spread your wings, fly away. Nothing's all that far. Follow the sunshine.
Got 3 fingers.
Reach for a star.
What was that bull's name? Bad Medicine. And he was.
There's friendship on high, where the eagle dares to fly.
Friend, that's the nicest ride I've had in a long time.
By the friendly sky. Rodeo cowboy, there you go once again. But I know you'll be back right now with a friend.
Second down and 8 for Kansas City as time is back in. As right now the Kansas City Royal fans, and they play just adjacent to the stadium here, Royal Stadium, are up and applauding as there are several of the Royals players in the stands today. And boy, this town, boy, they love their Kansas City Royal team. On a second down 8, Fuller scrambling again, and he's to the 42. He only picked up a yard on the play. Good reaction by Detroit. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Kansas City Chiefs from the National Football League is prohibited. John, it looks to me like Fuller's looking to run first right now.
He sure did. That may have been a quarterback draw because he didn't look downfield too long to see if he had a receiver open. And with a quarterback like Steve Fuller, you will diagram and design quarterback running plays.
Thus far, Kansas City has been very successful on third down conversions. Here's another one, 3rd and 7. Fuller intended for Henry Marshall. And that's going to bring up a 4th down. Wayne Smith, who's the nickelback, rookie from Purdue, an 11th round draft pick, over covering this man who is out of the University of Missouri, 6'2", 214. He was a third-round draft pick in 1976. And Bob Grupp, who last year led the NFL in punting, will kick from inside the 45. He's not up there average-wise like he was a year ago. As you can see, 39-1. Well, last year he kicked 43.6.
Marv Levy said that he's been in a little slump, and he hopes that he's working himself out of it now.
John Arnold is back deep. Also going back, there's Ken Callicutt for the Detroit Lions. Grupp on fourth down, or fourth down rather, hits a high one, and Callicutt having problems. But the Detroit Lions have recovered at the 20-yard line. Ken Callicutt had that ball go down the front of him. It looks like Ulysses Norris, number 80, the tight end, second-year man from Georgia, came up with a fumble recovery. So Detroit has the football for the first time at the 20-yard line. 9:06 to go, first quarter.
Hey, Tommy, you just get in?
Yeah.
And you switch to Natural Light.
Nah, it's always been my favorite. Natural Light tastes better to me.
And it's all natural ingredients.
Hey, Tommy, your wife just called. She said to tell you, play me or trade me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Another round of Natural Light for everybody. And one to go.
Natural Light. Taste is why you'll switch.
I didn't know his wife played baseball.
Come experience what lies beyond the sports car. American Motors introduces Eagle SX4, the new four-wheel drive sport machine. Eagle SX4 outcorners Trans Am in soft sand, out-accelerates Mustang Turbo in loose dirt, outbrakes MGB on dry pavement. Plus, the four-wheel drive Eagle SX4 beats them all in gas mileage. Experience driving in the fourth dimension with American Motors.
See the battle of the NFL cheerleaders, the Fats Mosconi Pool Challenge, and the Acapulco Cliff Divers next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
The Detroit Lions, their first play from the line of scrimmage, and it's the 20-yard line, almost mishandling that punt as Gary Danielson, 8 touchdown passes this year, only 2 interceptions at quarterback. Gives off to Billy Sims, nowhere to go. John, I'll tell you, Sims has had to work hard the last 3 weeks to find any opening.
He sure has, and Art Still was talking about that before the game, and he says they're aware of Billy Sims and they're going to have to gang tackle him.
Now let's look at this offensive line. Tommy Ginn is the center because they've had all kinds of injuries at center. Mike Whitehead starting his second game at tackle in place of Keith Dorney. The receivers, Fred Scott, their leading receiver with 23. David Hill, a fine tight end. That offensive line, we'll watch it very closely. Before the day is over, the Lions may use their 5th center of this year. Sims again, and Sims for 2 yards. John, you've had a very interesting comment about Billy Sims. He's played almost a full season as far as college football is concerned.
This is the most difficult time for rookies. What happens to them is they've played 4 preseason games, they've played 7 regular season games, 11 games, and that's the regular season. And now you're telling them today, after today's game, you've played 8 games and you're halfway over.
And there's a look at that defense of Kansas City. They play the 3-4. That secondary, Barbaro and Green, 2 of the finest young players in the National Football League. Third down, still almost 9 yards to go. Again, Sims, his 3rd straight carry, and Sims gets to the 24, and that's all. Herb Christopher, the strong safety, belted him down, and if a trend is set early, the trend is that Kansas City is really zeroing in on number 20.
I think the trend is that the Detroit Lions are going to establish that they're going to work Billy Sims today, and the Chiefs are going to establish you aren't going to work Billy Sims today because we're going to have a whole bunch of people wherever he goes.
And that was evidenced in the first 3 plays. Tom Skladany to kick the football. J.T. Smith is back now for Kansas City. Skladany coming in here with an average of 40.1, and he hammers that one. Smith will call for the fair catch, and he makes that fair catch at the 26-yard line. A fine kick that time by Skladany. We have 2 teams who have excellent kicking games, and you start talking about place kicking as well as punting. And so the Chiefs will have the ball for the second time. 3 seconds more than 7 minutes to go in this first quarter.
Watch out. Winter's almost here, and wind's gonna get you, and cold's gonna get you, and high fuel bills are gonna get you, because you still haven't added more insulation to your attic. So do it now. Get more Owens Corning fiberglass insulation and add another layer to put your house in the pink. See your dealer or contractor. Buy more Owens Corning fiberglass insulation now, before winter gets you.
I'm hurting in places I didn't know I had. They got me doing things I never thought I could. Feeling good, feeling strong. Part of something I belong.
The Army can make you feel a lot of ways. Challenged, trained, and proud.
With this time, with these people, with this feeling good. Feeling good.
What's going on below Flo's Yellow Road?
Oh, you slimy varmint!
A little skunk goes a long way on the season premiere of Flo, Monday at 8/7 Central and Mountain.
That last kick by Skladany, 49 yards. And at the 27-yard line, Kansas City with the ball. Steve Fuller, thus far, 0 for 3 in the passing department. He's been very effective though as a runner, and they come out with 3 wide receivers. One of those, Marshall, goes in motion. And Horace Belton may have gotten a yard as Al Baker hit him. Al Baker is known for his pass rush, but you see him time and time again, John, he'll really lower the boom on you in the rush.
That's right, and that's going to be an interesting matchup over there. The 2 number 60s, Matt Herkenoff, who we feel is the best offensive lineman on the Chiefs team, against Al Baker, the best defensive lineman on the Lion defense.
John Mendenhall is back in. As you might recall, he was shaken up the last time they were in there defensively. He's back. Mendenhall, Woodcock, Purifoy, and Baker up front. There's those 3 wide receivers that John was talking about, and we'll keep track of that. Fuller, and that's a quarterback draw. Out to the 35. He's going to be short of the first down. And Steve Fuller, no question about it, he thinks he can run against this football team.
And that's the second time that they've done that. It's interesting, the Chiefs are not using their tight end. They're using 3 wide receivers. They're playing Henry Marshall in the slot, and they're getting a good running game going. They're running inside.
Look at this, John. St. Louis leading Baltimore 17-0. Cardinals coming back from, boy, what was a tragedy, and kicking their fine kicker, Steve Little, and that was a very interesting report they had on the NFL Today about Steve as he interviewed his wife. In motion goes Beckman, the tight end. Morgado, the short yardage man, diving over. I believe he got it on a 3rd and 1. And he did. Morgado just short of the 40-yard line. You had a guy like that by the name of Pete Banaszak that you used like that.
He was the same way. We were talking to Coach Marv Levy yesterday, and everything that he would say about Morgado reminded me of Banaszak. Every year you go to camp and you're going to cut him. And the next thing you start playing, and he's playing your short yardages, he's playing your special teams, he's winning games for you. He's one of your most valuable players on your team.
And that time he picked up a first down at the 40-yard line. Fuller looking to the far side, hits J.T. Smith. Smith makes a move to the 44-yard line. Pretty good coverage that time. Give credit to Charlie Weaver, 59. Also Walt Williams, the left side cornerback. Charlie Weaver, he's the elder statesman on this Detroit team. J.T. Smith, he was one of the real surprises last year in the NFL. He was 2nd in punt returns in the AFC, and coming in today, he's 3rd in that department. As Charlie Weaver, there he is. He played on that group at USC. They called him the Wild Bunch.
USC has always had a lot of wild bunches and a lot of great players in the National Football League today.
2nd down, 6 for Kansas City. No score. 4:21 to go. First quarter. Marshall in motion. Horace Belton across the 50. First down at the 47.5 of Detroit. John Mendenhall made the stop. Belton played for Levy in Canada in 1977, the year they won the Grey Cup.
We see this again. It's a trap with the guard pulled. Made a nice trap. Belton had a little hole there. Got up to the inside. Now, I think this is interesting in that they do have 3 wide receivers, which is really a passing formation. But when you can get running going from your passing formation, then you'll tend to stay with it the whole game.
Now this particular time they have 2 tight ends, Williams and Beckman, in on this first down. Fuller play action, in trouble. He gets out of it to the 45, to the 40, 39-yard line. Fuller at 6'4", a 200-pounder, doing an excellent job of carrying the football 2 yards short of the first down.
Al Baker and John Mendenhall break through here. They really have Fuller, as we see right here. We see him coming from the outside, one side and the other. They knock each other off, and Fuller runs with the ball. Look at that motion. He has one arm going one way and the other arm going the other way with the ball, but at least when he goes down, he brings it all together.
Hey, what's he doing to that theory that quarterbacks can't run in the NFL?
They can run as long as they don't get hurt.
I think that's a pretty good statement. Second down 2 from the 39. McKnight, and McKnight is very close. Let's look at a score coming up here. San Francisco trying to get back on their winning ways, leading Tampa Bay 7-0. Boy, we've had some upsets today, haven't we?
I know that Green Bay looks like they're coming back.
They've played tough the last 3 Sundays. At the 37-yard line, they did get the first down. And Kansas City establishing some ball control. They've had the football most of this first quarter with inside 2.5 minutes remaining in it. Fuller already has 30 yards rushing in this game. He really adds a dimension to this football team. Gives off to McKnight. McKnight from Minnesota Duluth. Inside the 35 to the 33. Al Baker over there, 6'6", a 245-pounder, making the stop where it brings up second down.
You know, the Chiefs are mixing up their plays very well. They're running inside, they're running off tackle, they're passing on first down, but in addition to that, they're really changing the formations. They're going from regular formation to 3 wide receivers to 2 tight ends, and they're really giving Detroit a lot to think about.
A lot of people watching this game probably surprised to see Detroit in their blue jerseys, but this year Kansas City chose to play their home games in their white jerseys, which is a departure from years past and departure through most of the NFL teams. Most of them wear their dark jerseys. To the 30-yard line, Stan White made the stop. Third down, still almost 4 yards to go. Stan White, John, was taken on the 17th round in 1972 by Baltimore.
That shows how much we know about scouting sometimes. Some of these players that are free agents that are playing today, 17th round draft choices, but Stan White has always been a factor in every game that he's played in. There's a lot more than his intelligence and calling plays and defenses. He's a real factor in making plays.
3 wide receivers in on a third down, a long 3 to go. Those computers don't always tell you what you need, right? Fuller to McKnight, and McKnight is going to be stormed for a loss, and that's going to bring up 4th down. I had the idea he wanted to throw that ball for a moment, but maybe not, as J.T. Smith was down the field, but he had no time to throw it, and McKnight getting up slowly. He got belted pretty well on that play, and so 4th down now coming up for Kansas City from the 34-yard line. One thing about this Detroit team, they've never been accused of not having quickness in that forward wall, and there was a good example of it. Fuller was over on the near sideline. As with 4 seconds, they're just going to let this first quarter come to a close. So that's what's going to happen. We've played 15 minutes here at Arrowhead Stadium. We have no score as Kansas City meeting Detroit. The Lions trying to at least maintain a 2-game lead in the NFC Central.
If you had driven along this street just a few years ago, the cars would have been very different. But now, more and more people are driving cars like the Honda Accord 4-door sedan, with room inside for 4 adults and their possessions. It's a true sedan in every sense. In fact, the Accord 4-door is one of the most successful front-wheel drive sedans in America. Simple proof that society has outgrown the big sedan.
Honda, we make it simple.
I don't think so.
Hey, Norm, when it comes to switching to natural light, add me to the roster.
Tony Jurgensen, good to see you. Did you switch for the all-natural ingredients?
No, I switched for the taste. Natural light tastes better to me.
You old quarter horse, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, look at me. If I'd have been in this shape 5 years ago, I might have even run with the ball.
The moves he could have made.
Yeah, like the old quarterback sneeze.
Yeah. Hey.
Natural light. Taste is why you'll switch.
See the battle of the NFL cheerleaders, plus the courageous Acapulco Cliff Divers next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
John, they announced you're here today and they didn't boo. What's happened?
That wasn't bad. It's the first time I've ever been here. You know, years ago I coached a Pro Bowl here at Arrowhead, and we were the home team. And the biggest boo of the night was for me.
And you won that game too, didn't you?
And I said, but I'm the home team. I'm the coach here.
Now we have a little strategy going here. Kansas City let that clock run out so they would have the wind advantage for Nick Lowery. Lowery has kicked a 57-yarder this year, and this is going to be from 52 yards away. He's been a sensation this year, hitting 9 of 10 attempts. From 52 yards away, the Chiefs trying to take the lead as we start this second quarter of play. Lowery's kick is on the way. It's got enough distance. It is good. 52 yards. This is the young man that's replaced Jan Stenerud. He's now hit 10 of 11. Last week he had 3 field goals. And the man from Dartmouth looks like he's going to be a fixture for years to come.
The first electronic football games like these were for only one player.
And run.
But something was missing.
Can I play? Wait your turn.
Then along came head-to-head electronic football by Coleco.
Now we can play at the same time. I'm offense. I'm defense.
With head-to-head, you're really in the game. A power sweep. He fights through for the tackle. You pass. He blitzes. Intercepts.
This is real competition.
Why settle for a one-player game when you can have it all? Play alone, against the computer, or for real competition, play
head-to-head.
Why settle for less?
When there's nothing but mud where the road used to be, and you feel like your car is working overtime, it's nice to have this gas-saving Toyota pulling for you. Introducing the 1981 front-wheel drive Toyota Corolla Tercel. The Toyota Tercel, a car that pulls its own weight.
And a little bit more.
Oh, what a feeling.
Tercel.
Can we afford 4 more years of broken promises? In 1976, Jimmy Carter promised to hold inflation to 4%. Today, it is 14%. He promised to create more jobs, and now there are 8 million Americans out of work. He promised to balance the budget. What he gave us was a $61 billion deficit. Can we afford 4 more years? The time is now for strong leadership. Reagan for president.
Look at that time of possession. Over 7 minutes, a 52-yard field goal by Nick Lowery, his 10th of the year. And in that first quarter time of possession, Kansas City had the ball almost 13 minutes as Rick Kane and Ken Callicutt go back for the Detroit Lions. Kane is the leading kickoff returner in the NFC. And he's going to get a shot at one here. Kane at the 15, and this he turned around. Oh, that was Ed Beckman, a tight end. And Kansas City showing that field goal kind of fired him up a little bit.
We'll see that one again. And Rick Kane is a fine runner, and he's not one to avoid a lot of collisions. But on this one right here, he probably wishes that he had avoided that collision. That's the head right into the numbers.
That's the way you coach it, right?
You coach it, but I don't know if you coach to run it that way. You'd like him to avoid or miss those shoulder pads a little more than that. That one had to hurt.
At the 15-yard line, the Lions trailing 3-0. Just underway in the second quarter. Danielson to Sims. Sims, he got back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Dave Lindstrom. And John, you got to wonder if they can run Billy Sims against Kansas City.
Well, they can't early in the game. They're trying to establish that. One thing in their defense is the Lions, they haven't really had good field position. They're inside the 20-yard line. It was a great kickoff coverage, and they haven't had good field position. Look at the upset here. Brian Sipe threw 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to beat Pittsburgh 27-26.
And the Steelers have lost 3 games in a row. It's going to be a tough uphill struggle for them. Second down, 10. Dexter Bussey this time, and Bussey is hammered very hard that time by Herb Christopher, who roared over, along with Whitney Paul. Whitney Paul is a man who started his career as a defensive lineman, moved to linebacker. And John, you've always liked the play of Whitney Paul.
You never liked to play against him. When he was a left defensive end, he always gave us trouble, and then they moved him to linebacker, and he gave us trouble at that position. We probably should have drafted him. We had his brother, Harold Paul, who was a tackle. The day of the draft, he was in the office saying, draft my brother, draft my brother. I said, who listens to players? We know what we're doing. Kansas City draft has been a pain to us ever since.
3rd down and 6 now. David Hill, the tight end in motion. Danielson with time, now scrambling out. Danielson's going to run 20, 25, 30 as a 1st down. And Gary Danielson, who's been a very effective runner this year, averaging over 6 yards.
Gary Danielson on the carry.
Doing a good job of carrying that ball out across the 30-yard line.
And he gets a play from Monty Clark as he goes back into the field to play. See, again, when you have a quarterback that can run, the defensive line can't rush to a point. As we saw there, Still was coming to the point from one side. The other side, it was Lindstrom. And then he was able to get outside of that containment. That's the advantage of a quarterback that can run and avoid a rush.
And now that's the field position that you mentioned Detroit didn't have earlier as they moved it out to the 32. Scott split out. Also out is Leonard Thompson. Danielson on 1st down, wanting to throw. A lot of congestion, and he's going to be thrown for a loss at the 29. Dave Lindstrom, 3rd-year man from Boston University. A man they picked up from San Diego, had 3 sacks coming into this game. Lindstrom playing as Mike Bell, #1 draft pick, is out for the remainder of the season.
As we watch this play again, it was a funny pattern. He only had 2 men out, his 2 outside receivers. He was trying to throw to his right there deep on and up. It was good coverage. He had no choice and he had to run. Gary Danielson has yet to throw a pass in this game.
2nd down now, 12, a loss of 2. Line of scrimmage, the 29-yard line. Danielson back again. This time, David Hill broken up by Christopher. Herb Christopher, who's not very big for a strong safety. He's only 5'10", 190, but he reached over Hill. Did a pretty good job on that play.
It was a good job because the thing that you worry about there is interference, and that if you touch the man before the ball gets there, it's interference. He waited and waited and then just reached his right arm right over the shoulder and knocked the ball out of Hill's hand. See the arm come over? Boom. That's a fine defensive play.
Thus far, the Lions with only 1 1st down as they come to a 3rd down and 12. Dombrowski has come in as they have 5 defensive backs in. You saw that stat on Danielson. That's something, throwing that many passes. He's back again. This time he hits Dexter Bussey. Bussey's short of the 1st down. He cannot get to the front of that stick as he's dropped short of the 40-yard line. He needed to get to the 42. Thomas Howard over to make the stop, and it's 4th down for Detroit.
I'm impressed with the way this Chief defense is swarming. On any run, they have a lot of people around. We look here, there's a missed tackle, another one right here, and then a whole bunch come to stop him from the 1st down.
Skladany in the kick. Going back deep is J.T. Smith for Kansas City at the 24-yard line. He's averaging now over 12 yards a return, and I know Detroit is aware of that as you look at him from North Texas State, a 3rd-year man. Here's Skladany. Skladany has really been kicking the ball, and he hit another boomer. Beautiful kick. Smith going back to the 15-yard line. Trying to get to the picket line, and the blue shirts are there. And both these teams are covering very well on punts. That was a 45-yard kick that time by Skladany. Prentice McCray over to make the stop.
I think I saw a clip on that. On that return, and I'm sure that it'll be a 15-yard penalty against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's one of those deals, if you can read their name, you don't block them, and he was in position to read his name and he blocked him anyway.
And if you have players that can't read,
well, or some of the names today, you know, you get these kickers and so on with these long names, you just tell them if you can see their name, don't block them.
Let's see if we can pick it up. Bob Fishman, our director, has an in.
We probably can. It's right up here on this sideline as we come down here. He makes contact. It wasn't blow. It was an upside clip. Right there. See it right there on the right-hand side. See? He was in position to read his name, and he blocked him anyway.
So it's back to the 10-yard line. We have a timeout. 12:27 to go until halftime. The Kansas City Chiefs trying to win their 4th in a row.
Hi, my name's Jerry. We're identical twins. Well, almost.
I like this 1981 Toyota truck because it's tough.
I like this 1981 Toyota truck because it's low price.
He always likes a bargain.
And he always likes to be tough.
Look, I see my sister's point. For the money, this truck is hard to beat.
And I see my brother's point. A truck should be tough, like a Toyota.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Macho.
What a feeling.
Tough deal.
Toyota. A bright red fire truck, a blue Calliope, a yellow moon, a pink balloon, a golden Dixie Jamboree. Yes, America's true colors come through on GE.
GE TV brings you America's true colors, vivid and lifelike. And with GE's special VIR2 circuit, the color is automatically adjusted.
Yes, America's true colors come through on GE. GE, we bring good things to life.
See the battle of the NFL cheerleaders, the Fats Mosconi Pool Challenge, and the Acapulco Cliff Divers next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
With John Madden, I'm Gary Bender. It's first down now for Kansas City at the 10-yard line. They lead it 3-0 on the strength of a 52-yard field goal by Nick Lowry. And this Chiefs team, who's won some very impressive games, going for their 4th in a row. They beat Oakland, Houston, and last week Denver, and now trying to add Detroit to that list. Fuller gives off to Beltman as he belted. Oh, great job that time by John Woodcock. The ball is loose. Bill Gay, but it's been dead. Bill Gay, just in case, taking it in, and they'll bring it back.
They always do, but those defensive linemen love to run them in.
Tampa Bay now has tied up the 49ers 7-7. Cincinnati playing very respectable football, leading Houston. And Seattle, well, they're trailing Oakland. That's always been a good struggle. You've had a lot of trouble with Seattle through the years.
Yes, we did. That's Zorn. Zorn is something. He really is.
Second down. They may have lost a half yard on that last play. In motion comes Mike Williams, the tight end. Belton again, and Detroit Lions right now are really stuffing this running game. Al Baker and Woodcock again on the stop. Woodcock was out in 1979. He had back surgery. He was sorely missed, especially because he's very good against the run, and he's shown that the last couple of plays.
He sure is. I was talking to him in the locker room before the game. We were talking about Tom Condon, and he said Condon is a strong blocker, a strong guy. He said, I'm not going to get in a strength contest with him. I'm going to try and get around him and beat him with my quickness, which he just did on that last play.
3rd and 13, 3 wide receivers in now, again for Kansas City. Fuller on a little delay to Ted McKnight, but that did not fool Detroit. Tried to cross him up, but the Detroit Lions read it extremely well, and now Kansas City will have to kick from the end zone.
Detroit has adjusted well to the running of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think at first they were playing that 3 wide receivers as a passing formation. Now they see that they want to get him in that, spread him out and run. Detroit knows it now, and they're playing to run hard in those situations.
John Arnold will go back as he'll get the kick from this man, Bob Grupp. You see his first kick, not what he wanted, but he did get it high and almost got a fumble on it. Good pressure put on. Arnold from the 50-yard line. He's averaging over 7 yards a return, and Kansas City storms him down. I don't know who you give credit to. I guess Belton was down there, one of the first. Also Stan Rome, a wide receiver. And so Detroit with good field position, trailing 3-0. They'll have the ball just about on top of the 50-yard line after a 42-yard kick by Bob Grupp.
We want to make you smile.
Welcome back. I see you brought a friend.
My boss hasn't smiled the whole trip. I'm back.
I think you'll like our beds.
Big room.
Everything all right?
Just fine. Call me for dinner.
In an hour.
We made him smile.
Come to Holiday Inn where your smile says we're #1 people pleasing.
Come, drive in the 4th dimension. Experience the 4-wheel drive edge of the American Eagle. Feel all four wheels bite into bone-dry pavement, slice through rain, eat up snow. This year, Eagle introduces incredibly improved gas mileage to its spectacular four-wheel drive advantage. Why drag two helpless wheels along? Now drive with extra traction and economy in the fourth dimension. The American Eagle from American Motors.
Stand by, 5 seconds.
Charles Kuralt. He's getting ready to start your day.
Good morning.
Charles Kuralt anchors morning, now every weekday.
From the 49 of Kansas City, that's where Detroit has it. We have 10:13 remaining in this first half. Kansas City with a 3-0 lead. Gary Danielson has receivers wide left and right, gives to Sims, and Sims is driven backwards. That's Gary Spaney, 59, and Dave Lindstrom. Let's check another score. Philadelphia leading Chicago 7-0. In that game, Montgomery is not playing. Chicago, of course, defeated Detroit last week, 24-7. Vince Evans with his first start and also a win.
And they've had problems with their offense. Their defense is playing great football.
2nd down, 9. Boy, this guy is having to work again today. Thus far, he has just been shadowed by this Kansas City defense. In motion, Freddie Scott. On the 2nd and 9, protection excellent. He hits at the 35-yard line for the first down. Barbaro over there. Making the catch is Jesse Thompson, the second-year man from California who's come back from Reiter's disease.
As we see it here again, he has good pass protection. He has time to step up and throw, find his receiver, get it over, and get the first down. And that's what he has to do. They started off establishing that they were trying to establish that they were going to run on 1st and 2nd down. Now he's coming out and throwing on 2nd down, and that's a big difference.
Thompson with his 6th catch. What a story he is. He missed all of last season. He lost 60 pounds due to that disease. He's battled back, and he's on this 45-man roster. On 1st down, Danielson with time to throw. Intended for Scott, and is picked up by Barbaro. Barbaro at the 30-yard line, and that is his 5th interception of the year. This young man from Nicholls State is one of the outstanding safeties in the National Football League.
As we see it again here, it was a great coverage by Barbaro, and we noticed the last graphic that we had on the screen was the number of consecutive passes that Danielson had without an interception. Every time you do that, the next thing that comes up is an interception.
You said that last night. You said that's a jinx to mention it, and in this case, it certainly proved true.
Hey, Tommy, you just get in?
Yeah.
And you switch to Natural Light?
No, it's always been my favorite. Natural Light tastes better to me.
And it's all natural ingredients.
Hey, Tommy, your wife just called. She said to tell you, play me or trade me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Another round of Natural Light for everybody. And one to go.
Natural Light. Taste is why you'll switch.
I didn't know his wife played baseball.
Just imagine, if everyone drove a car like the Honda Civic DX, there'd be more room on the freeways. There'd be more space to park. And we'd probably all use less gas. The Honda Civic DX. It could make life a lot simpler.
Honda, we make it simple.
A lot of excitement here in Kansas City football-wise today, but what about that Kansas City Royal team? Here's George Brett, third baseman for Kansas City. Boy, what a great series.
It was fantastic. Beating the Yankees was fantastic, even getting a chance to play in the World Series. And we came up short, but there's always next year.
You're a young ball club.
We're a very young ball club. We have a lot of talent, more talent than what anybody ever thought we had.
You guys were great, and you gave us all a lot of excitement. You know, putting a headset on usually comes after you retire.
Well, I hope I'm not retiring. I hope this is not a sign.
Right.
Yeah.
George,
you're too good and too young. Good luck.
Great. Thank you.
From the 30-yard line, first down now for Kansas City. After that interception by Barbaro, Fuller tries to hit Henry Marshall at the 41-yard line. So Steve Fuller, thus far, his running has been the most impressive. And that's going to bring it back 2nd down, 10 at the 30-yard line. As Carlos Carson now comes in, Williams checks out. That means 3 wide receivers. They've opened it up this year, and we've seen some teams, John, take on new personality this year as they've tried somehow to put the pressure on that secondary.
I love to see that, because the way the defense is today, you have to spread them out.
Fuller on second down, gets it off to Belton. Belton to the 45, all kinds of running room to 35, to 30, Belton to the 20, 15-yard line. Underneath, they threw the football, and I don't believe Belton could believe how open he was. He went 55 yards inside the 15-yard line.
I think that was Stan White's man. It was a crossing pattern. We see Belton on the left. He delays, and now he runs right across the field. White got caught up on the other side. There was no one near to Belton, and he ran all the way down the sideline until he's finally caught up with from behind.
That's a play you look at and you say, why doesn't it always work that way?
Well, what they did is the outside men drove the defense deep. Belton delayed, let the defense get deep, then he came underneath the defense.
55-yarder to the 14-yard line. Morgado, the fullback. Morgado picked up a couple of yards. John Woodcock made the stop. I think the interesting thing about Morgado is he's a short yardage man, but he really isn't all that big. He's 5'11", 205, but he hangs on to the football.
That's the thing, and those little guys, those 5'11" guys, they're hard to tackle, you know, and they're built down in those low positions. They have good legs, good drive, and you don't get them for losses. They aren't long striders.
And so we have a change. James Hadnot has now come in at fullback. He's their third-round draft pick out of Texas Tech as Morgado comes out. You know, we're mentioning the Royals. We have another Royal working with us today, keeping stats for us. That's pitcher Paul Splittorff. Here's Belton. Belton inside the 5. Very close to a 1st and goal. Quick hitter, and that offensive line of Kansas City right now doing quite a job. James Hunter eventually made the tackle. It looks as though they're short of a 1st and goal by a yard.
That was another trap play, Gary. They trapped John Woodcock on that play. It was a short trap. The center blocked back. The left guard, Bob Simmons, came across and trapped John Woodcock, and it was a quick opening play.
I tell you, the defense of Detroit has to be kind of scratching their head right now.
Well, they're getting trapped a lot. The Chiefs are having a lot of success with their inside trapping game.
Third down, a yard to go for a 1st and goal, and Fuller trying to sneak it forward. Looks like it's going to be pretty close.
It's wherever the official puts his foot down.
Now, this is one of those left foot, right foot jobs.
Yeah, I think it looks like he has a right foot. Looks like a 1st down to me.
We should explain.
Oh, there it is.
If it's a right foot, it's a 1st down, right?
Right, and then see if he puts his left foot down, it's back a little ways. If he takes one more step and puts his right foot down, then it'll be a 1st down.
You must have gotten a lot of right foots in your career, all those wins.
I got a lot of left foots too, and the ulcers came with the left foot.
So it's 1st and goal now at the 4-yard line. Everybody going to be in tight on this play. Kansas City with a 3-0 lead. 6.5 minutes to go until halftime. Fuller to Ted McKnight. McKnight may have gotten a yard. That's about all. Again, Detroit reacting very well on that play. Some good gang tackling by this Lion defense, which again is 3rd in the NFC against the rush, is 6th overall. Last week they gave up 101 yards as Walter Payton. In fact, John, in only 2 games this year has any team gone over 100 yards rushing. As you look at Marv Levy, his back to us. We'd like to get this one in.
That's Joe Spencer there with the towel around his neck. He's the offensive line coach. He's feeling pretty good now.
2nd down and goal at about the 4. Fuller wants to throw. He has Williams, the tight end, for the touchdown. Mike Williams with only his 2nd catch of the year. He's the man they moved from running back to tight end, and that's his first NFL touchdown catch.
Steve Fuller did a nice job on that. Al Dixon, the tight end on the other side, was running a crossing pattern from the outside. You can see him here. He's looking to the left. He's trying to find Dixon. He doesn't see Dixon. He can't find him. Now he comes back and hits Mike Williams.
Boy, what a thrill that's got to be for this young man who's been adapting to that tight end spot. And coming up with the catch for the touchdown. Lowry, the point after attempt. He's big, 6'4". I think O'Donohue's maybe the biggest. He's 6'6", who's now doing the place kicking for St. Louis. Lowry made that look easy. Little chip shot for him. And now Kansas City with a 10-0 lead with 5:39 to go in this first half of play as Warpaint is on the move here at Arrowhead Stadium.
Watch out. Winter's almost here, and wind's gonna get you, and cold's gonna get you, and high fuel bills are gonna get you because you still haven't added more insulation to your attic. So do it now. Get more Owens Corning fiberglass insulation and add another layer to put your house in the pink. See your dealer or contractor. Buy more Owens Corning fiberglass insulation now before winter gets you.
If you had driven along this street just a few years ago, the cars would have been very different. But now, more and more people are driving cars like the Honda Accord four-door sedan, with room inside for 4 adults and their possessions. It's a true sedan in every sense. In fact, the Accord four-door is one of the most successful front-wheel drive sedans in America. Simple proof that society has outgrown the big sedan.
Honda, we make it simple.
Live for the title, see undefeated WBA lightweight champion Hilmer Kenty meet top-ranked WBC contender Villamar Fernandez, Saturday, November 8th on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
One of the traditions here at Arrowhead Stadium is each time the Chiefs score, Warpaint's on the move.
One year we darn near killed old Warpaint. The Chiefs scored 48 points against us, and in those days Warpaint used to run around the field. After about that 4th touchdown, his tongue was hanging out.
That didn't help your disposition any, did it? Oh, Rick Kane lost the ball. And the Chiefs are trying to recover. Who has it? It's at the 1-yard line, and Detroit has come up with it. Rick Kane let that ball go right through him, and I want to see this on a replay. Just like he lost track of the ball all of a sudden.
That ball did stay in the air a long time. You know, we talk about hang time, and it's usually for punts, but Lowry got a good hang time on his kickoff, and it looked like Kane was waiting and waiting and waiting, and he got a little anxious to get going. And as he was running forward, it looked like the ball hit him and maybe got a piece of his shoulder pads and then down low. He left the ball.
That's kind of embarrassing, isn't it?
That is embarrassing.
And it's got to be a little frightening to know that everybody's coming after you in that football. You've got your back to him. Danielson now 2 of 4 for 22 yards and an interception. Has the ball at the 1-yard line. Detroit fortunately got on that. And out they come. Dexter Bussey. And Bussey gets some breathing room for this team. Out to the 13. Herb Christopher made the stop. Let's go back on that touchdown to Mike Williams. We have a little different angle of it.
We see it here. We see Fuller come out. He was looking left, waiting. Then he found Williams and came right back to him.
So a first down run that time by Bussey.
That was a big run because that got them off their goal line where they have a little breathing room now.
4:55 to go in the first half. And they go back to Sims again. And Sylvester Hicks is there. Barbaro is there. Gary Spaney is there. And Billy Sims must feel that the whole team was there.
I know. When you get that weak safety, Gary Barbaro, up that quick where he's meeting you in the line of scrimmage, you know that you have a whole lot of them keying on you.
Billy Sims started out the year with 153 yards. The next day, the next game, 134, then 157. And since that time, he hasn't been able to go over 100 yards.
Maybe he made his presence felt too strong in the first part of the season.
He has drawn an attention to himself. Oh, wait a minute. David Hill firing off. You know, Monty Clark said that about the team. He said, we're getting more and more attention, which means we're going to have to play better and better football. And that offside will step off 5 yards against Detroit.
And I'm sure you talk about Monty Clark. I know that that's one of the things that upsets him because Monty Clark likes the discipline, precision, no mistakes, everyone doing what they have to.
Encroachment, number 81, offense.
And so it's David Hill, the referee, Jerry Seaman.
Bill O'Brien there. I talked to him earlier before the game. They were making fun of me. I thought there were some fans.
2nd and 12. Danielson had it for a moment. Good contact that time by Gary Spaney. who belted Jesse Thompson. Spaney's one of those guys that surprised a lot of people.
He did, and I was one that he's surprised. I didn't think he was that strong, you know, and he came in and he was a good linebacker in his first year. He calls the signals for the Kansas City defense.
He's a young man who played at Kansas State, went to high school in Manhattan, Kansas, which of course is the home of the Wildcats. As now they come to a 3rd down and 12 at the 10-yard line. Detroit, a little shaky going now. Off to Sims. Sims to the 15. There's the move you look for, and that will be enough for the 1st down. That little extra acceleration that he seems to have picks up 12 yards.
There's Billy Sims. You know, you wait and they started and they had gang tackling and they were stopping, but you know it's just a matter of time. You're not going to stop this guy every play. You see the quickness that he has, that little, he plants with the outside foot, the next foot is straight up the field. I'll tell you something, they'll keep running Billy Sims and he is going to get his share.
Averaging almost 5 yards a carry. And John, you said this one time before, he's going to play a long time. His running style is conducive to that.
Right, he doesn't have those long strides. The long striding running backs are the ones that get hurt the most.
1st down from the 23-yard line. 10-0, Kansas City with the lead. Up the middle, a couple of yards to the 25. Mangiro, a rookie from Rutgers. Dino, number 74, making the stop that time on Dexter Bussey. Bussey is the man that led this team in rushing 4 of the last 5 years. He started the year out in spectacular fashion. He had 111 yards against the Los Angeles Rams.
There was a lot of talk of, you know, how Dexter Bussey would be affected by Billy Sims coming, but he welcomed Billy Sims.
2nd down 7 from the 25. 3.5 minutes remaining, 2nd quarter. Danielson to Sims. Sims straightened up as he gets to the 30-yard line. Manu Maliuna over to make the stop. 2nd-year man from San Jose State. That's the word that you really wanted, Manu Maliuna.
I think one of the big matchups in this game is Mike Whitehead. As we watch the right tackle there, he's coming to the outside against Art Still. You see he handles him there in the line of scrimmage, holds him, doesn't let Still get across the line of scrimmage, but then Still does make the tackle for a couple of yard gain. That'll be an interesting matchup all day. The rookie Mike Whitehead against the Art Still, Kansas City's best defensive lineman.
You know, Whitehead made this football team originally because he could snap the football.
And that was the only reason.
Now he's starting to tackle as Keith Dorney, their #1 draft pick 2 years ago, out with a knee. Danielson back. 3rd down and 2, and he hits his man. Good ad-lib job.
That was, and he had to ad-lib on that play because Art Still was breathing right down his neck. We were just talking about Mike Whitehead against Art Still. Art Still beat Mike Whitehead on that play as we see Sims come out. Now, one thing that Sims, he's not only a runner, but he's a good receiver, and he enjoys this part of the game.
18-yard pickup. John, he only caught 3 passes in college, and some people are saying, hey, can he catch a football? He certainly can. He had 18 of them before this game. And so we have the 2-minute warning. Detroit starting to put their offense together. As you can see that Billy Sims now starting to make his presence felt.
Congressman, I think we're running out of gas.
Oh, no. It's not as if the Democrat Congress didn't have a warning. The last 3
and drove this new Mazda RX-7, and that's all it took.
Just one look, that's all it took. Yeah, just one look, that's all it took.
The Mazda RX-7 keeps getting better. Even the mileage is 24% better than last year. And the more I looked, the more I liked the looks of its price.
The more you look, the more you like.
On the CBS Wednesday night movies, the Jane Mansfield story. She was a sex symbol of the 50s, but her dream life would go sour. Lonnie Anderson stars Wednesday.
You see the time remaining and you see the score. And John, you just made a comment. The offense of Detroit now giving their defense a rest.
That was important. Kansas City had the ball for so long that the Detroit defense had to be getting tired. With these first downs and with this drive, now the defense can get rested.
First down from the 48. Danielson. Scott is loose at the 30-yard line. Scott inside the 25. He fumbled the ball. It's loose. I believe, though, they have ruled the ball dead. Let's see.
I think the whistle blew before he fumbled the ball, and I'm sure it's still the Lions' ball.
28-yard pickup, and Scott made quite a move after he caught that football to get additional yardage on the play.
One thing that we know about Fred Scott is that he can get open, he can catch the ball, but he can also run with the ball. Remember a couple weeks ago against the Saints when he ran that big reverse?
48-yard touchdown.
As we'll see it here again, the Saint defense is doing a pretty good job of pass protection. Needed help from Billy Sims to pass protect on that last one. But you see, when Scott gets the ball, he knows where to go with it, right up the field towards the goal line.
Christopher eventually made the stop, but that picked up some big yardage for this team.
Right. When he was initially hit, the official blew the whistle, so the ball was dead, and that fumble doesn't count.
So Detroit now getting some confidence in that offense, and you know what seemed to make it happen is when Sims made that 12-yard run.
That's right. I think they were waiting, and again, that's a confidence thing. They know that Billy Sims is so important to this offense, and when he's being held down and contained, then it affects them all. Conversely, when he gets away, then boom, they all feel better about it.
All the scores and highlights at halftime, as well as that special feature of Legends of the Game. Jack Whitaker's feature of John Mackey. He caused you some problems.
There was a tight end. He could do it all. He could catch the ball, and he was a real strong blocker.
The Lions now with 2 timeouts remaining after just asking for one at the 1:33 mark. First down at the 23. Billy Sims needs a block. He's going to make it to the 21, and that's all. Whitney Paul came up, took that interference on, and made the stop. Paul out of Colorado, 6'3", 220. Just playing superbly this year for Kansas City. You're going to mark it at the 20-yard line to bring up second down, a long 6 to go.
Lions without a huddle.
Here's Sims again, and this time Lindstrom, 71 there. Lindstrom has really played well in this first half.
I'll tell you, that was a big play for him, because now they create a 3rd and long where Detroit will have to take a timeout, and they'll be in a passing situation here.
You can see the time ticking away. Jesse Thompson replaces Leonard Thompson. They're no relation at the wide receiver spot. 3rd down, still 7 yards to go from the 20-yard line.
And they didn't take a timeout.
No, they didn't. Taking a lot of time getting this play underway. They did at the 31-second mark. Danielson scrambling around. Danielson has David Hill, the tight end. He almost dropped it, but he hangs on at the 8-yard line. And timeout now called by Detroit with 22 seconds. They'll have 1 left. Hill almost didn't hang on to that ball. A 12-yard pass completion. There he is, a Pro Bowler the last 2 years out of Texas A&I. You see the time remaining. And Detroit trailing 10-0. They'd like to get at least a field goal before halftime.
They would, and it's interesting now with 22 seconds, they only have 1 timeout. They'll probably have to save that timeout in case they have to kick a field goal, so they should go to the end zone or to the sidelines with these next couple passes. But you see the advantage of a scrambling quarterback. He started to get rushed. He couldn't find anything. Now he was able to move a little and buy some more time until he could find David Hill.
You know, David Hill had a real fight going on with Christopher, and that ball bounced away from him. Christopher reached in, but Hill, as strong as he is, able to hang on, and they have a 1st and goal at the 8-yard line.
You know, we were talking about John Mackey at halftime. That's one of the things where strength comes in, and that's what he could always do. He would bull those strong safeties around, get in position, as David Hill did there, where they can use the basketball type thing, you know, get their body between the ball and the defender.
Ed Murray, who's their field goal kicker this year, is 14-20, but he was 0 for 2 last week and had 1 field goal block. Right now, Detroit's thinking touchdown, not field goal.
And if they can get a touchdown, this will be a different ball game going into the halftime.
Scott. Jesse Thompson split to the top. Danielson trying to get Sims over there. He has 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. He's going to have a delay of game. Danielson has a delay of game.
Well, that was probably a pretty good decision on Gary Danielson's part. He didn't like the formation he had. Now his alternative there was either to take the delay a game or take a timeout. He only has one timeout. He couldn't use it there. He didn't want to run the play down here on the 7-yard line, 8-yard line, so he decided that he would take the 5 yards and then call another play, get everything straightened out, get ready to go again.
So that moves the ball out to the 13-yard line.
Delay of game, number 16, offense.
That's interesting. Just yell out a number for delay of game and they mention one down. Here's Danielson from the 13. In motion goes Sims. Danielson with time. In the corner, Scott. Scott with Eric Harris, number 44, with him all the way. Harris is the young man from the Canadian Football League who has 2 interceptions this year. He had that one covered very well.
He sure did. There was no place for Danielson to throw that ball, but again, he knows it was only first down. He still has his 3 downs to go, so he really threw that one away.
You see it now, 2nd and goal, and you see also the time remaining, 17 seconds.
You don't want to force the ball down here. It's either there or you throw it away.
Do they have 2 plays left here before they go for a field goal?
Yes, very definitely.
On the 13, Danielson again. And he has his man, a remarkable catch by Jesse Thompson. He held on at the 2-yard line.
Now he has to take the timeout, which he's doing. Now he has the ball on the 2-yard line, and this is a tough decision because you're going to have to throw the ball even though you're on the 2-yard line because you don't have any more timeouts. Danielson is going over, and he was kind of moving his arm around there and holding his shoulder. I wonder if he may have got hit on that last play.
Well, he has a shoulder that's been giving a difficult time. Look at this again. Look at this catch by Thompson.
It was a great timing thing. That was the 3-step drop where you go back, and he just threw it in there. I think that was an amazing effort just holding on to that ball, but you may as well hold on to it down there because you know you're going to get hit. You get hit the same if you catch it or if you don't catch it.
They're actually going to mark that ball at the 3-yard line, John. Now, no timeouts left. Boy, this is a tough situation.
Well, you have to pass. It has to be a passing play, and the best type of passing down here is a play pass where you fake a run and then have a crossing tight pattern to a tight end. It's a very difficult place to pass because the end zone, of course, is 10 yards and you only have 3, so the defense only has to defend 13 yards of territory. You hope that you can hold someone or fool someone.
Now the Chiefs have jumped into a 4-man front. Mangaro has come in. 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line. 11 seconds left in this first half. Danielson back looking for somebody. He has David Hill. Christopher covering, and so they will attempt the field goal. 4th down. And Murray will come in. Now I should mention again that he had 1 blocked last week. He was 0 for 2. He hit his first 7 this year. He's a 7th round draft pick from Tulane. Then he missed 2 in a row, then hit 4 in a row. He still is leading the NFC in scoring with 60 points.
You know, this isn't a bad situation to fake a field goal because you could fake and you could throw the ball and then come back and kick a field goal.
And I recall a couple of weeks ago we watched him do that in practice. A kick on the way by Ed Murray, and Murray has it. And the Lions are on the scoreboard as Eric Hipple holding on that particular conversion or field goal attempt. And so it's a 10-3 game, and I would imagine, John, that Detroit really now has a great amount of confidence. That last drive, they did a little bit of everything, and they did it very well.
You know, Hipple did a nice job of holding on this play, Gary. You would see here the ball was outside and low, but he got it, brought it back in, and got it down in time for Murray to get it up for the field goal. I think the big thing that changes is that it rested the defense, because that Detroit defense was starting to get tired and worn down. Now they'll be recovered. They'll go in at halftime. They'll be able to come out fresh in the second half and start all over again.
10-3. As Detroit will be kicking off a 20-yard field goal that time by Eddie Murray. Murray has really been a pleasant surprise. Both these teams, John, made changes in the field goal kicking department. Ricardo was replaced by Murray. And of course, we mentioned earlier that Lowry replaced Jan Stenerud.
See the job that he did here? It was down, he lost it, he picked it up and got it again. That was a good job by both the quarterback and the kicker. The kicker had a hold a little while, and it was a good job by our cameraman.
It was a good job. Back deep, Carlos Carson standing at the 5. Morgado was also back there, along with Mike Williams. And a little squibber bouncing around, and Morgado's going to take it to the 25-yard line, 30, and he'll bring it out just about to the 35. And that is going to be the end of our first half of play. And so, a game that we figured to be close is just exactly that after we played 30 minutes here at Arrowhead Stadium. The score, Kansas City 10, Detroit 3.
TCR, engineered for action, built for quality, designed to last. The cars, built with metal gears and real rubber tires to stay on the track at scale speeds of 300 miles per hour. The Jam Car, a moving obstacle that constantly tests your passing skills, and only TCR's got it. The toll-free number, it'll answer all your questions and keep you racing day and night. TCR, slotless racing from Ideal. It costs more, but it's worth it.
For 1981, the Toyota Celica Supra gets recharged. Charged with more performance, a new 2.8 fuel-injected engine, an optional performance package, sport suspension, spoilers front and rear. The new 2.8-liter Toyota Celica Supra, recharged for 81.
A Celica never performed like this before. Supra!
It's halftime at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Chiefs lead the Detroit Lions 10-3. A 52-yard field goal by Nick Lowry, and also a 20-yarder by Eddie Murray, and then a touchdown pass from Steve Fuller to Mike Williams. The difference thus far as we have 30 minutes of football remaining here in Kansas City.
I can make it. But some of my friends just can't live with the inflation. My son and his family, it's so hard for them. Why doesn't someone in Washington do something about prices? Too many people are suffering. I think I'll make it, though.
For 25 years, the Democrats have controlled Congress, and they've let inflation steal something good from America. Vote Republican for a change.
Introducing a car with better ideas from Germany, Japan, America, from around the world. Introducing a world car. The new Ford Escort, built in America with better ideas from around the world. Escort has higher gas mileage ratings than Rabbit, Accord, Corolla hatchback, yet it is roomier inside. And Escort has four-wheel independent suspension, front-wheel drive. Ford Escort, built in America to take on the world.
I think that accomplishments, the things I can take the most pride in, come not from the football field, but when I help others.
Hi, I'm Ted Albrecht of the Chicago Bears. Over there is Soldiers Field, where I play football, and these are some of my pals from the Abraham Lincoln Center here on the south side of Chicago. Why don't you come along and we'll show you the center. Come on, guys.
This center plays a big role in the life of this neighborhood. That's why United Way supports it. Here they give courses in the arts, teach young people to work and perform with others. It's giving a chance to people to help themselves, to learn job skills and become a productive part of their community. That's what we mean when we say United Way works for all of us.
United Way really makes a difference here in Chicago. Thanks to you, it's working for all of us, the United Way. Right? Right!
The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. 10-3 our halftime score. John Madden has a ring here commemorating his 100th victory in 10 seasons. There's only been 2 men in the history of the National Football League able to accomplish that. It's this guy here and also his good friend Don Shula. As we mentioned at the top of the show, that 100th win happened right here.
Right here in Kansas City, and we had some great battles here. I was just talking to Bobby Bell outside, the great Chief linebacker for years, and that brought back some memories of those games and the rivalry that we had not only here but in Oakland. Every time we played the Chiefs. It was a big game and a meaningful game.
Who made that ring for you? How did it all come about?
Well, my wife thought that I should retire. So I said, well, you know, we're close to 100 games. It would be nice to win 100 games and then retire. So that was important to her. So when we won the 100th, she had it made. She said, okay, you said you wanted to win 100. You won 100. Here's your ring. That's it.
That's super, John. Let's take a look now at the statistics in this first half of play. Hey, it's getting a little chilly here in Kansas City, as it's going to be dark before this game is over. But in that first half, I think the best way to put it is the first quarter was Kansas City, the second quarter was Detroit.
That's right, and now we go to the third and fourth to see what happens. But Kansas City won the first quarter, Detroit won the second quarter. But look at that time of possession. Still, it was still 19 minutes for Kansas City to 11 minutes from Detroit.
They had almost 13 minutes in that first quarter, John. Kansas City did. We start the second half. Nick Lowry kicking off. This is Kane, and he has this one after fumbling one earlier in the game. He comes out across the 20, 25, 26-yard line. And Detroit, who finished that first half on the field goal by Eddie Murray, starts this second half of play. And we mentioned as we went away that Detroit had to get some real confidence in themselves the way they finished that first half. A 96-yard drive that was culminated in that 20-yard field goal.
That's a good feeling to go into halftime with. You know, that first quarter, they may have been a little frustrated, but at the end of the second quarter, I think they got rid of that frustration.
From the 26-yard line, Detroit, first down. Billy Sims, he has running room, and he has a first down. Across the 35 to the 37. Mano Maliuna over there to make the stop along with Eric Harris. 12-yard pickup by this young man from Oklahoma. Did you see him at the start of the game? He came in, his cowboy hat and a three-piece suit.
He looked good, didn't he? And he was down there talking to his coach, Barry Switzer, his college coach. They were down there together talking about the old days and about Oklahoma and how they were doing. And but I'll tell you one thing, Detroit has true confidence in Billy Sims, not just the type you talk about, because they keep running them.
#1 rushing offense in the NFL. Detroit starting out very impressively in the second half. This time, though, it doesn't get much. Sims maybe a yard. Lindstrom with the stop. They only had 60 yards in that first half. And look at that, 65 yards against Chicago. But we mentioned, John, Chicago, there's been nothing wrong with their defense this year.
No, that's right. And the Lions, again, they've had some problems with the offensive line, which some of that can be attributed to. But when you have Billy Sims back there, it doesn't take a lot of blocking or a big hole.
You know, in their losses, they've averaged 69 yards. In their 5 wins, they've averaged 205 yards on the ground. So that's been the key statistic in their success. Here's Sims trying to go outside, and maybe a yard as he drags Manu Maliuno along with him. Going to bring up a third down. Let's take an isolation look at number 20.
The Lions are starting the same way in the second half that they started the game, running the ball to this man, Billy Sims. You see those little moves? He even looks exciting when he doesn't gain any yards.
What's that guy's name, number 54? What's his
Frank.
name? Just
From
kidding.
UCLA.
You've been practicing for all week on that guy's
Manu
name.
Maliuna.
Very well done. All right, on the third down conversions. You see what their success has been. It's 3rd down and 6. Here's Hill in motion. And it's going to Hill. Whoops. It's like a shortstop. Going between his legs. That was Lindstrom putting some pretty good pressure on, and so that brings up 4th down.
That was a screen pass, and Lindstrom should have been blocked a little longer than he was by Carl Baldischweiler. He started to get out in front of the screen pass, and Lindstrom was there and put too much pressure on Danielson, so he had to throw the ball sooner than he wanted to.
You saw that average of Skladany for the day, 48 yards. J.T. Smith goes back to the 10-yard line. There he is. He's 3rd in the AFC in this department. Oh, snap. Good job. Skladany fielded that very effectively. And the ball is going to go out of bounds in the vicinity of the 25-yard line. That was a heck of a job by Skladany. Keep that ball from getting by him. A 35-yard kick under some less than ideal circumstances. And so Kansas City has the football for the first time in the second half. As Kansas City with a 3-4 record would like to move up in the AFC West.
This is the oil that saves you gas. But it does more. It can take you from New York
to London, to Paris,
to Sydney,
to Tokyo,
to Hollywood,
and back to New York.
25,000 miles without an oil change. Mobil 1, the oil that saves you gas and more.
Space Station 12, this is ground control. There seems to be a weight variance of plus 3 pounds in the main cabin. Please confirm, over.
This is Space Station 12. Cannot confirm weight variance.
Breaking for chow now, over.
Gentlemen, this is our steak. This is our salad. And this is our weight variance.
All right, Strohs.
Captain, now I know why you're captain.
On the CBS Wednesday night movies, the Jane Mansfield story. She was a sex symbol of the 50s, but her dream life would go sour. Lonnie Anderson stars Wednesday.
From the 25, Steve Fuller and his teammates will have the football for the first time in the second half. And 3 wide receivers have come into the football game. Stan Rome, J.T. Smith, and Henry Marshall. And Marshall goes in motion. And Fuller on a first down gives off. And Horace Belton's all the way to the 35. And that's almost a first down. Dave Purifoy, they crossed him up on that play. They were looking for the pass, quite obviously.
That's right. It was interesting that the Lions came out. They started the same way they started the game. They started running to Billy Sims. The Chiefs came out. They start the same thing. 3 wide receivers hitting the inside running game.
St. Louis over Baltimore 17-10. The Colts tried to come back on a long pass from Jones to Carr. The Cardinals with some real adversity able to win that one. They're going to have the first down just across the 35 on that 10-yard run. Marshall in motion again. Belton again. Belton doing a very good job for this team. Brings it out to the 39. Tom Tuine making the stop out of Hawaii, the rookie. And so at the 40-yard line, it's going to bring up second down, 7 yards to go. As coming in now will be J.T. Smith. Also Dixon comes in as Williams and Beckman check out. They had 2 tight ends in on that last play.
That's right, on the second down. And I'm impressed with that, what the Chiefs are doing here. They're not only having a good mixture of plays, run and pass, but they also have a nice mixture of formation.
And John Levy went from the wing tee after using that the first 2 years. This first year they've used that pro set as well as the eye. Fuller back and in trouble. Gets away from Baker. Off to Ted McKnight. Stan White can't get him down. Gay can't get him down, but he's finally stormed down at the 32.
That looked like it may have been a broken pass. It looked like the pass protection by Matt Herkenhoff. He tries to cut Al Baker here on the pass protection on the left side. He doesn't get him, and we see Baker right there, and Fuller runs around, finds McKnight, gets it off to him, and salvages a little something.
Stan White, just by spinning him around, gave the Lions time to get there defensively.
That's all it takes.
That's right. And at the 32, the loss brings up third down, 13 yards to go. 10-3, Kansas City leading the Detroit Lions. Fuller back, time to throw. McKnight 35, 40, and at the 41. That'll be 4 yards short of the first down. And we'll bring up a fourth down. Stan White, Al Baker over there. Look at Baker. Baker's playing with a hip that's giving him a difficult time. He also has a hand that's been broken. He missed the first game of the year, and you know what he said? He watched that first game on television. He couldn't stand it. He said, I got so bad I had to put my dog in the garage because he said I was afraid I would clothesline him.
he was going to go one-on-one against his dog.
But he came back after settling his contract. Here's Grupp. And this is John Arnold. Arnold, the 25. Ed Beckman is over there. Beckman does a very good job for this Kansas City team on punt coverage. 37-yard kick, and John Arnold out of Wyoming returning the ball to the 27-yard line. So Detroit holds defensively, and they have their second crack at the football. 9:41 to go, third quarter. Kansas City leading the Detroit Lions 10-3.
Introducing an American car designed for a changing world and with a commitment to quality. Introducing the beautifully new Ford Granada, built with a new design. smaller in size, yet more spacious than ever before. Built with Granada's highest mileage ratings ever, and built with Ford's quality control system. 38 different inspectors examine every single car. The new Granada, built for a changing world from Ford.
Trail boss on a cattle drive. You put in long days under the big sky, and when the work's over, you head for the mountains. Bush. Head for the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream. Brewed the natural way, so it's always as smooth as its name. Bush.
Head for Bush beer. Head for the mountain.
Gary Bender with John Madden. The ball at the 28-yard line for Detroit. First down. 10-3. Kansas City with the lead. Thompson, Scott split out for Gary Danielson. Danielson off to Sims. Sims looking for a block. It doesn't materialize. And he loses yardage. All he really needs, John, is to get those shoulders turned up the field.
That's right, and I'll tell you who didn't let him on that play was a strong safety, Herb Christopher. He came out, they were trying to block Herb Christopher. He plays off the block, and I think we'll see it out here as we see 41 come from the outside. You see, he didn't let him get outside. He didn't let Sims get his shoulders squared and turned upfield.
Elias was the guy trying to lead that play. He's the man who played miraculously last week on a bad ankle. This week, starting the ball game and been in there all the way. Danielson on the straight ahead thrust by Dexter Bussey. Bussey maybe to the 30. Dave Lindstrom made the stop. And it's third down, and it's going to be still 8 yards to go for Detroit. Leonard Thompson comes back in. Jesse Thompson checks out for Detroit.
That's how they call their plays with the two Thompsons. They give the play to one of them on the sideline. He comes in and gives the play to the quarterback, Gary Danielson. So they switch Leonard Thompson and Jesse Thompson each play.
And it's Leonard Thompson this time to the bottom of the screen, split out. Third down, 8. Scott in motion. Danielson. Time to throw, and he has his man, Leonard Thompson, and that'll be a first down. Gary Danielson right on the mark that time as Barbaro makes a stop for Kansas City.
And there's probably a holding penalty against the Lions.
Look at the 15 or 25-yard line area. Let's see. That's what it is, holding. That was what plagued this team last week. Detroit had 10 penalties for 80 yards last Sunday.
Let's see if we can see it again here. It's an inside holding penalty, and I think it would be against the guard or the tackle right there. I don't see it. Inside, where he threw the flag, he threw it right at Tommy Ginn or Homer Elias, but I didn't see a holding there.
Holding number 66, offense.
You had that one down, Coach, all the way. It was Ginn. Got to have a lot of sympathy for Ginn. He's been pressed into that center spot. He's really a natural guard, but he's playing center due to all those injuries.
Right, and I didn't see a hold.
5 defensive backs are in for Kansas City. Third down now, 18 yards to go. And they're teeing off on him. And he gets it underneath to Billy Sims. Sims to the 32-yard line. He's exciting on anything that he is involved in, and there was a good example of it. They get some of their yardage back, 12 yards to be exact, but it's still fourth down. But just catching the ball in the open field, everybody, there seems to be a hush for a moment in the crowd.
That's right, because they never know if they're going to get him tackled or not when Billy Sims has the ball.
J.T. Smith goes back for this punt from Skladany. Skladany is the young man that they picked up from Cleveland when he couldn't sign, and he's been a welcome addition as Smith going back to his own 32-yard line. An overhead view. Boy, what a beautiful facility this is in Arrowhead Stadium.
This wouldn't be a bad time for the Chiefs to come on a punt block on this play.
The snap's low again. I tell you, Skladany's going to get a little gun shy back there. Fair catch by Smith, and he had right on top of him on that play Wayne Smith. At the 30.5-yard line, Kansas City will have it. They've got some problems in that snapping department. That's 2 snaps now on punts that have hit the ground. A 38-yard kick by Skladany. It's Whited, who's playing offensive tackle, also snapping on punts.
Here's another Radio Shack telephone sensation, and lucky you, it's on sale for only $39.88. Super small size, and the push-button dial has a memory button that automatically redials busy numbers. Of course, it has an extra long 16-foot cord. And watch this. Its hang-up is a put-down. You save even more when you own your own phone. And it's built and sold only by Radio Shack, your Christmas electronics store.
Jean Marie McTeague, age 6 hours. And along with Jean, you get weeks of sleepless nights, months of dirty diapers, and a lifetime of responsibilities. Nationwide can help you handle those responsibilities with life insurance for you and every member of your family, even the new ones. And knowing you're prepared for Jean is what our blanket protection is all about.
Nationwide is on your side.
See the battle of the NFL cheerleaders, the Fats Mosconi Pool Challenge, and the Acapulco Cliff Divers next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Kansas City with the football at the 30.5-yard line. They have a 7-point lead. Fuller in this game is 5 of 9 for 64 yards, 1 touchdown. Also 31 yards rushing. And he comes out throwing to J.T. Smith. And Smith across the 35 to the 36, a gain of 5. It'll bring up 2nd down. John, I wanted to develop something earlier. Kansas City, the first 2 years, was in the wing T. A lot of people say, what in the world are they doing in the wing T? But Coach Levy had a real idea about protecting his defense.
And I think it was a real smart idea by Coach Marv Levy, who I have a lot of respect for. I have a lot of respect for both the coaches in this game, but he knew that he didn't have a strong defense, and he wanted to buy some time to develop the defense. By going to wing T and more control, he probably wished he had been in a wing T on that play.
Boy, I guess Charlie Weaver just annihilated Fuller back to the 25-yard line. And that is one of the few times that Fuller's really been given that much of a difficult time. A 9-yard loss. They're going to mark the ball at the 27. Let's look at this again.
We'll see it again. It was a linebacker, Weaver, blitzing from the outside, and what happened is both backs went away. Both backs went to the weak side. When Weaver came from the strong side, it could have been on key. There was no one there to block him.
3 wide receivers in. That's 23rd sack of the year for this Detroit team. Fuller stepping up, and they're going to get another one.
It's 24.
Oh. The Silver Rush, that's what they call themselves. They had 45 sacks a year ago, and 2 years ago they set a team record with 55. And they're on schedule for another big year, 24 to be exact right now. So that will turn the football over. Rupp will come in and kick, and Fuller goes out, and he's probably right now just trying to get his senses back. He's been belted pretty good.
He was, and that's a disadvantage of the 3 wide receivers opening up when you don't have the running game going or the threat of a run as they did on that 3rd and long.
Rupp and John Arnold. Arnold from the 40. The picket is there to the 50, 45. And you could see they were starting to string it out. 37-yard kick that time. Charles Jackson over to make the stop for Kansas City. And at the 45 at the Kansas City end of the field, Detroit has the football. Good field position. Down by 7 points. 5 minutes, 44 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter.
Introducing the revolutionary twin action shaving system engineered to outperform twin blades. The new Norelco Rotatract razor. Inside 3 floating heads, Rotatract works like twin blades to grip hair. Raise it up, then razor it off hundreds of times a second for a shave that's twin blade close without a nick or cut. The new twin action Norelco Rotatract razor. Cord and rechargeable. Twin blade closeness, but no gotcha.
Sleek, sure-footed, aerodynamic. That's Mustang, a thoroughbred with a taste for the sporting life. Ride the wind in a world of rich, inviting interiors with the kind of high-gas mileage you might not expect from such a high-spirited car. Mustang! Mustang, America's most popular sports car. From the world of better ideas at Ford.
What's going on below Flo's Yellow Road?
Oh, you slimy varmint!
A little skunk goes a long way on the season premiere of Flo, Monday at 8/7 Central and Mountain.
Detroit with the football at the 45-yard line. Billy Sims with 43 yards thus far on the day. He came in here leading the NFL. However, not leading by an awful lot as he has Campbell and Payton breathing down his back. He's going to add some yardage here. 30, 25, 20. He's down to the 10, 5, touchdown. What a run, 45 yards by Billy Sims, as Sims now has scored his 6th touchdown of the year.
That was a great run by Sims, but we're going to see something else here that sprung him, a block on Gary Barbaro by number 39, Leonard Thompson. Watch Sims here. He sees that he has, but watch right in the screen as we come up here, the final block that breaks Sims right here on Barbaro. Did you see that? That was Leonard Thompson, number 39, who came across and made it possible for Sims to get in the end zone. He's something special, that Billy Sims.
Gary Barbaro has been shaken up for Kansas City to see the joy on the Detroit Lion bench. John, I started to say before that run, he had Payton and Campbell breathing down his back. Campbell was 99 yards behind him starting today. Payton was 21, and we just found out a while ago that Campbell went 55 yards for a touchdown.
Right, and that puts the Houston Oilers ahead 10-3 of the Cincinnati Bengals. As we look at Gary Barbaro down here, we hope he's okay, but we'll see that he didn't see that block of Leonard Thompson. He didn't see it again, and we'll watch this run of Sims again. But watch how he can make that little cut, how he can change directions, and then when he gets out in the open field, how he can turn it on, set up, and wait for his blocks and cut off his blocks.
Well, he had 43 yards previous to that run. He just added 45 yards, so he was able to match what he did the entire first half. John, there's something about Sims. You see him, you know he's running fast, but he seems to have that little extra something when he really needs it.
Well, he has that. He's built low to the ground, and he's always in a position where he can make those types of cuts. As we see Gary Barbaro there, he looks like he was okay. I think he just had the wind knocked out of him. But Billy Sims is like Russian roulette. You keep running them, you keep running, and you don't know which one is going to be the big one.
And Eddie Murray's going to tie this ball game up. We're all tied up 10-10. Well, that drive took 9 seconds. It took Billy Sims 9 seconds to go 45 yards, and we're all even.
You don't have to be a genius to change your own oil and filter and save yourself up to $10. Valvoline Motor Oil shows you exactly how quick and easy it is with step-by-step change instructions on the back of Valvoline cans. It's really quite simple. Once you get the hang of it, just see for yourself, then do for yourself. No wonder more and more drivers are changing their own oil and filters and changing to Valvoline. It's a smart way to save up to 10 bananas without a lot of monkeying around. Right, Val?
Tough work demands a tough leather boot. Count on the Texas Steer brand from Kmart. Quality smooth grain leather uppers, soft padded collar and ankle knots for added flex and comfort. Inside you've got full insulation, Goodyear welt construction, steel shank, and durable oil resistant soles. And that Kmart sale price of $25 through Saturday is hard to beat.
Texas Steer. A little bit of loot buys a lot of boot. At Kmart.
Got to brave the elements when you come to the National Football League games.
They look like they're at the North Pole. It's not that tough, really.
Yeah, I know you. You always used to stand on the sidelines in your shirt sleeves. There's Carlos Carson going back for Kansas City. We're all even 10-10. 5:35 to go in the third quarter, and this crowd a little subdued right now as they watch Billy Sims go 45 yards for the touchdown. Murray hits it very high. Carson at the 4. 15 out to the 20, and he's going to bring it out across the 25 to the 26. Carson is the fastest player on this Kansas City team. 5th round draft pick out of LSU. He's only caught one pass, but he does a lot in a lot of ways for this team, and that's what I mentioned. Took him 9 seconds to go that far.
9 seconds.
I'll tell you what, he's run a 100-yard dash. I don't know what he's been timed in. As
fast.
Just fast. With a little extra when he needs it. From the 26.
But the big thing is his movement and his balance and his ability to cut.
Kansas City Early in this game led 10-0, now tied up. Fuller over the middle, he hits Belton. Belton to the 35. It's been a big play, that underneath pass to Belton. Belton is very close to the first down as Stan White made the tackle. And it looks like he has the first down.
And it's the same play we see. It's a little delay. We see Belton delay, hold there like he's blocking, let the defense go deep, and then he comes across the field.
So the first down now at the 38-yard line. That was a 12-yard pickup. Again, John, that underneath pass really working for this Kansas City team.
Especially on first down.
And they have another first down from the 38. Fuller on a little delay to Ted McKnight. McKnight doesn't have a lot of running room on this one. Stan White was the first to get there. Stan White is one of those guys, he just won't let you shake him. He's always seemingly in position. And there was a good example of it.
Well, the entire Lion defense was there on that play. That's one thing about a team that swarms and pursues and gang tackles. You can't spend a lot of time with the ball in the backfield, because one thing that can draw a crowd is having the ball.
And in a hurry. Stan White, according to Monty Clark, he said, I'd make that kind of trade any day, and that's been the kind of trade he had. Just a medium-sized, middle-round draft pick. Fuller back, pressure. J.T. Smith, and Smith dragging tacklers inside the 35 to the 34. Smith, good concentration on that play. Walt Williams drags him down after a 28-yard pickup.
This was a blitz here, Gary. Both outside linebackers came. They picked him up real good with their running backs. And Fuller threw the ball right in there between two defenders. That was an entire play that was really an outstanding play. They had good pass protection to start it, a good pass route, and a nice throw.
Marv Levy said that Fuller is so coachable. He takes criticism very well. He'll just continue to get better. This time, very little develops on that play as John Woodcock made sure of that. You see Herkenhoff as Horace Belton may have picked up a yard, and that's all. Second down coming up. Herkenhoff coming back from last year when he was out with a knee operation after 5 games. Glad to have him back. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, Charlie Getty was on the injured reserve list for the first 4 games, as was Jack Rudney, who's kind of the spiritual leader on this team.
He's a leader in a lot of ways, and he gives, when he's back, he gives everyone confidence.
Second down, 9. Fuller somehow gets rid of the football. That Silver Rush getting stronger and stronger as this game wears on.
We'll see this. I think this is one of the good matchups in this game. It's Herkenhoff against Baker. Here, see, Baker takes an inside move, and Herkenhoff gets a little help from the guard, comes back, has good position on him. Baker had a little elbow towards the head there right at the end of that play, didn't it? That'll give you a headache on Monday morning.
I would guess. That was Purifoy that actually hit Fuller as he was getting rid of the football. Fuller showing how strong he was on that play.
Purifoy was hanging on him.
Third down, 10. Fuller really busy. Purifoy comes through. We're going to have a holding call against Kansas City. Fuller tried to hit Henry Marshall. Now, when you're going to see on this replay is one of the offensive linemen trying to tackle Purifoy as he broke through the middle. There it is, holding.
Purifoy takes an inside move. We see right up there in the top. We see Getty come from behind. He couldn't clip him, which he tried to, which is legal. So he grabbed with his right arm and tried to hook him.
Good job, Bob Fishman.
I'll tell you, it was a great job. The cameraman and the official, the umpire, were watching the same thing.
Well, if you're going to get a holding call, you might as well tackle the guy, huh? Just protect your quarterback.
You have to get a good one, because there are bad ones. The bad ones are when you hold, you get caught for it, and the quarterback gets hit. That's a bad hold.
Holding number 77, offense.
Well, Charlie Getty just soon forget about that particular play. He's going to bring it back now. Third down, 20 yards to go from the 44. Detroit has tied up Kansas City in the second half, 10-10. They trail 10-0 at the 5:39 mark of the second quarter. Only to add a field goal with 11 seconds left in the first half and the touchdown here in the third quarter. Offside, possibly. A flag. Fuller. Oh, is he getting belted right now? This time, Tuene over there. We'll see if they were drawn off.
Sacked by Baker.
Looked like maybe the Lions were drawn off, but we're not going to guess. That's a tough one.
It looked like they jumped and they got in that neutral zone that you can't get into. See here, see if we can see any movement. No, I don't think so. That was against the Detroit. They jumped. There was no movement by the Chiefs.
That's right. Offside against Detroit. That was the thing that really disrupted this team last week was the penalties. Monty Clark said we're not going to slit our throats. He says we still have a 2-game lead in the NFC Central, but we just can't keep making mistakes. And here's one of them now, a 5-yarder. Wait a minute. Where's he going?
Well, the sack didn't count.
Offside.
So they went. You want me to
right.
explain it, Jerry, or do you want to explain it? No. Yeah, so they took the sack and then they went back to the original line of scrimmage and then they marked off 5 yards. That was Jerry Seaman there talking.
Another one bites the dust. What that's all about is, for some fans that aren't familiar with Detroit, they have a song called Another One Bites the Dust by the rock group Queen, and they play that after every victory, which of course been played 5 times. Fuller in trouble. Fuller delivers to Henry Marshall at the 15. He's to the 12. Fuller rifled a shot that time. He was on the move. He comes back on a 3rd down and 15 and gets a 1st down on this pass play.
And we'll see this play again. Last week we see Henry Marshall here in the slot. He's really a tight end in this position, running a hook pattern. He runs up like he's going deep, stops, and comes back. Now, Steve Fuller has an awful lot of confidence in Henry Marshall. He was saying that he just has a feel. He knows where he is all the time, and I think that this is really a good example because he's getting pressure. He has to run out. He finds an open, he finds and feels Marshall into the middle of the field. Big 1st down.
Back to the live action. Here's McKnight scrambling inside the 10-yard line. Fantetti making the stop. I think what really impressed me about Fuller is his presence of where the line of scrimmage was and running up and firing a real rifle shot that time to Marshall for 27 yards.
Well, that's one thing about having your offensive line injured. You learn how to scramble and find opening guys, so he's had some experience at that.
Unfortunately.
Even though they're back, he can still do it when he has to.
Gain of 3, 2nd down, 7 from the 10. Now they can get a 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. 10-10 our score. Less than a minute to go in this 3rd quarter. Fuller. Doing a lot of running around, being chased by Weaver, and he just got rid of it. Closest to the ball over there was J.T. Smith, but that might be stretching the point. But again, Fuller had Charlie Weaver back there, a couple other blue shirts. And now the conference going on, a big 3rd down coming up.
See, Carlos Carson, number 86, will bring the play in. See, he gets the play from the coaches. He comes in, he yells the formation to him while he's coming in. So all the players know the formation. He gives the play to Steve Fuller, who gets in the huddle now and calls the play.
Look at the 3rd down conversion, 6 of 11. Kansas City with another 3rd down. Smith. Carson, the man you just watched come on the field, is put to the bottom of the screen. A 3rd down. Fuller. He's going to run to the 5. Oh, is he hit? Oh, is he hit? I believe he got the 1st and goal.
How did he hold on to that ball? There was no way that he could have seen that defender coming from the outside.
Boy, did he take a shot. And actually, the tackle drove him farther up the field, which I believe gave him a 1st and goal, didn't it? They may have to measure. Let's see. They got it. 1st and goal.
We'll see this replay.
1st and goal just outside the 2-yard line. 14 seconds remaining now in this 3rd quarter. And right now, officials have asked for a delay. What's this all about? This is ready to go again. Fuller is checking. He wants to know. There's his rushing stats on the day. about the time on the clock.
Right, I think Jerry Seaman was talking about the 30-second clock. The referee, Jerry Seaman, there was saying that they didn't have the proper time on it, so he stopped it to get the 30-second clock at 30 seconds.
It had 9 on there is what it had. And so they had the full complement of 30 seconds to get this play off. Now Steve Fuller with a 1st and goal. Just outside the 2. Now they're running time off the game clock.
They're going to let the quarter end, and they want to go up on the goal line the other quarter, get a timeout so that Steve Fuller can come over here and talk to the coaching staff before he runs his important plays.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score, Kansas City 10, Detroit 10. We now pause for a word from your local station.
Meet Alan, a single father and the only male at a woman's magazine.
Are you making a pass at me?
Can he cope in a woman's world? Ladies Man coming Monday, October 27th.
This is CBS.
Beautiful Arrowhead Stadium. We're just east of the Missouri River, and this crowd of 59,391 sitting here on this October afternoon as the sun now starting to set. And as we start the 4th quarter, Kansas City with a 1st and goal at the 2.5-yard line, trying to go on top. Morgado, and he's denied the touchdown and then some. It'll be 2nd and goal from there. 10-10 our score. This is exactly, John, the kind of game we figured we were going to have.
Right. We sure have something here because both teams have had their moments. We've had some nice runs and passes and some good defense. And when you get down here, it's very, very tough.
Well, Warpaint wants to do some running.
Warpaint wants out of the gate. 88 and out the gate, he says. Let me out there.
2nd and goal. They may have picked up a yard. That's all. Here's Morgado again. He's trying to get in. Boy, he tried twice to lunge forward. There's Fuller. You see how far they have to go on a 3rd and goal.
I always wonder how those quarterbacks know how far it is. They aren't in there in the bottom of that pile checking it out.
Rudney is hurt for Kansas City. He is hurting the center. He's bent over. They're looking at him. He's shaking it off, I believe. Boy, he's been tough. He's had a hamstring problem.
I'll tell you, he is something special. I had Jack Rudney in the Pro Bowl for 4 years. I'll tell you, he's one of the best that ever played.
3rd quarter, the Eagles leading. San Francisco back on top.
Gonna come back.
And Houston now leading Cincinnati. Here we go. Oakland leading Seattle 16-0. 3rd and goal. Fuller. He's in. Touchdown. That was 2nd effort that did it.
It was a great effort by Steve Fuller because he was going on a quarterback sneak. He went straight ahead. There was nothing there, and then he stopped and he slid to the right, got another momentum move and into the end zone. We watch here again. See, he starts there. He gets hit there. There's nothing. He just turns and wheels, comes back. Another effort, and he got the ball to the goal line.
That's where a big quarterback like Fuller is really pays off.
Look at this great shot here. He just hits, rolls, spins, gets the ball into the end zone.
And now Lowry on the point after. Fuller to hold. Lowry's kick. And it's now 17-10 in favor of the Chiefs. In Kansas City, who's trying to make it 4 in a row and finish 500 at the halfway point. And Warpaint on the move.
There's old Warpaint.
I needed the mileage of a Toyota Cressida, but it didn't have enough room. What I needed was the room of a Volvo, but it didn't get good enough mileage. What I needed was a Citation. What I didn't need was the price. What I needed was a miracle. What I found was a Fairmont.
Ford Fairmont. It makes a world of sense.
A world of better ideas coming from Ford.
This Bud's for everyone who serves us a hot one, pops us a cold one.
This Bud's for you.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
See the battle of the NFL cheerleaders. Plus the courageous Acapulco Cliff Divers next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Kansas City has taken the lead, 17-10. The Lions, who have battled back all afternoon long, will have to do it again. Lowry kicks off. Boy, does he get that high. Here's Rick Kane. Kane to the 10, 15, 20. And the guy who's leading the NFC in kickoff returns does a pretty commendable job. Out to the 23. Morgado made the stop. I don't think I've ever seen anybody kick the ball any higher than Lowry does on a kickoff.
And those are the real tough ones to return as we watch Rick Kane walk off the field here. The reason that I like him as a return man is he's not the fastest in the league, but the one thing that he can do, he's strong, and he runs a kickoff return like a fullback runs it. And those have always been the most valuable type kickoff return men in the league.
Monty Clark knew him when he was a young man. He was a guard at Candlestick Park. And Monty Clark was the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Here's Billy Sims trying to get up the field. And he did not, because Gary Spaney made quite a play on it. Spaney coming through, making the stop. Spaney has led the team in tackles the last 2 years for Kansas City. There's that last drive. Fuller, of course, taking it in. An impressive drive.
It was an impressive drive because it had passing and running. Good mixture again, as the Chiefs have been doing all day.
Loss of a yard on that last play. 2nd down, 11. Sims having a little trouble with the shoe. Danielson looking to see if he's going to be all right, and he will, as they still have 14 seconds on the clock to get the play underway. Here is Sims. Shoe is on, and he's up to the 25. Art Still. Haven't heard a lot about him today. We haven't called his name all that often.
You know, it's interesting. He was playing against rookie Mike Whitehead, and I would think that Whitehead is really doing a pretty good job.
Sims again.
Look at this. Watch the way he can make those moves and those cuts, and he's always in a cutting or running position. That was a fine play by Still. The one thing about Art Still is he plays the whole line of scrimmage from sideline to sideline. He plays defensive end like a linebacker.
Sideline to sideline. I think that's what Levy said. He's maybe the best in that category. David Hill in motion on a 3rd and 7. They hit it up the middle, out to the 34-yard line. And that's going to be enough for the first down. Thomas Howard made the stop. They really crossed him up on that one. Sims hitting up the middle. They had everything looking as though they might throw the football on a 3rd and 7.
That's the difference between a Billy Sims and an average running back. When you talk about confidence, when you're 3rd and 7 and you have a running back that you'll hand the ball to and believe that he's going to get a first down, you have something special. That's the way O.J. Simpson was at Buffalo.
Sims now has 99 yards, so he is just about to accomplish his 4th 100-yard day of the season. An end around to Jesse Thompson, but it didn't fool anybody. Thomas Howard was there first. Looks to me like Kansas City been waiting on that one all night long. Gary Spaney eventually made the tackle. I don't believe I've seen an end around played any better defensively than that one was.
No, we know why, too, because remember a couple weeks ago we did the game with the Lions against the Saints, and the big play for the Lions was a reverse. Now, Kansas City saw that same play on the films. They worked against it all week. They say when both backs go one way, stay at home. Make sure it's not a reverse before you start to flow.
They lost 4 yards, 2nd and 14. Danielson to Sims. Sims has a little crease, and here he goes. He has a first down, and he didn't need much of a crease, but he took advantage of it. Herb Christopher made the stop. It's another Lion first down out to the 46.5-yard line.
That's one thing about Billy Sims here is we'll see that little crease again. As you say, he doesn't need much. He just needs, and there's a little crease right there. Boom, he gets through it, extends himself, puts his head down. Joe, he is really something. 17-yard
pickup, so he's over 100 yards. You know, the rookie record for Detroit in a season is 860. He had 704 coming in here. They've only had one 1,000-yard rusher in the history of the Lions, and that was Steve Owen. Here's Danielson overthrowing David Hill. Hill was very well covered. It's one of the few times we've seen Danielson really crank up and go deep.
Right. No, Danielson isn't a real strong arm quarterback, and he's been having some problems this year. He has that hand problem. He's had a shoulder problem. And if we see a shot of him here in the huddle, we'll see that he's wearing some protective device underneath his jersey. And so he's had his problems as we see it there. See right around his number area there, he has something underneath his shoulder pads, but he's a real leader.
Second down, 10 for Detroit. They trail 17-10. Billy Sims to the 50, 45, 41. Boy, he's getting stronger as the game wears on, which brings up a point that you made to me earlier this year. Some running backs don't really play effectively until they get a little tired.
That's right, and I know that Earl Campbell told us that he was that way. As we watch Billy Sims here, I get the feeling that he's that way. Early in the game, they get a little, they have some nervousness, some anxiety. The defense is a little quicker. The defense gets run down. They get a little tired. They lose all that anxiety, and then they just go to pure instinct and running.
You saw that graphic a moment ago on Sims. He now has 126 yards for the day. He's adding more. A flag, however, on the play to the 34-yard line. Sims right now is putting on a clinic out here. But I believe this may go against Detroit, where that flag was thrown, and the Lions are backing up, anticipating the penalty. Holding. Well, I don't know if you need to hold for this guy.
No, you don't. You don't have to hold to get a little crease. When you have to hold is when you have to protect the quarterback or you need big creases.
Well, that's going to stop him momentarily, as it will bring the ball back to the 48.
He's a little tired there, but that's a good tired. That's
Holding,
not a bad tired.
Number 81, offense. Holding, number 81, offense.
Said it twice. I don't think David Hill appreciates that, does he?
Well, the guys that don't are the offensive linemen, because the only time they get their names mentioned is when they hold.
So tight end David Hill. That's a penalty. First and 20. Scott goes in motion. Danielson. Pressure broken up. Thomas Howard. Oh, wait a minute. That'll be a 15-yarder. Thomas Howard made a beautiful defensive play, and then I'm sure he wasn't thinking about it. Pushes Danielson, and that'll be roughing the passer.
And that's an automatic first down. And that's one thing you hate to see as a coach. And again, we see Howard coming in here. It's a screen pass. He does a nice job getting up in the air, so he can't do it. Danielson's going back. He's standing there, and he comes and pushes from behind. I'm sure that he didn't have any intent to do any injury, but still, that's the type of penalty that as a coach, it really drives you crazy. You have everything going, and it looks like Danielson hurt his shoulder on that, Gary.
Well, he's had that bruised shoulder. He is hurting.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 52. Defense. First down.
That sets it up at the 37, so it was a first and 20. Now, Howard, check that.
Well, they're excited about that. They don't like that, the Chiefs. But, again, once the quarterback throws the ball, you really can't touch him. And I think what Howard was thinking is that Danielson was in position to catch it.
So the penalty gets him out of a hole. They had a first and 20 before that last play. Here's Dexter Bussey. Bussey hasn't been called on that much. Into the 30-yard line, and a couple of fired-up football teams.
They are. We have two fired-up teams out here now, Gary, and that's a good time to run a Bussey. I'm sure now that Kansas City defense has to be keying almost entirely on Sims, so that's a good time to pop one to Bussey.
Tampa Bay now taking the lead over San Francisco. San Francisco, after winning those first three games, really been struggling.
Well, they've had some injuries.
On the 30-yard line, second down, 3, a gain of 7 that time by Dexter Bussey. 17-10, Kansas City with the lead. Danielson, Sims has a first down just short of the 25-yard line. Lindstrom made the stop. And to blow that whistle long and hard out there because they're still going after each other.
Danielson is standing back there behind the huddle, still holding that shoulder, moving the arm around like he's trying to get circulation back in it.
Oh, he's had some problems with an arm. We also discovered a couple of weeks ago he has a hand that cramps on him sometimes after he throws the football. He's coming back from knee surgery, but he's still been the man. And he has a first down. That is the 13th first down for Detroit, as opposed to 15 for Kansas City. 8.5 minutes left in the game. Billy Sims. Sims at 25, the 20. Did you see that cut to the 17-yard line? He cut that time, and I think he had everybody going by. What a cutback by Billy Sims, and you just marvel at this guy. Watch it again.
We'll say it again. It was a sweep play. Both guards pulled and led up through the hole. And what's that little move right there at the end? You know, again, he's always down low where he can make these moves. And let's watch Mike Whited on Art Still. He does a pretty good job there. He got Still initially so that he couldn't get to make the play. I would say that Mike Whited is doing a pretty good job today.
Sims now with 140 yards. Second down, a yard to go. And this time, Gary Spaney stops Sims, but did he get the first down? Looks like he's very close if he didn't. And they look to the near sideline, and they're going to have to measure. Very close, but they'll bring the sticks in. Now, Sims' best day of the year was the third game of the year against Minnesota. He had 157 yards. Here's Houston. Campbell with another touchdown.
A 3-yard run.
Let's see now if they got the first down. If they don't, it'll be third down and inches. Oh, boy, they are just short. Third down coming up. With 7:25 left in this game, Detroit with a third and inches. As you look at Philadelphia, Chicago now is on the scoreboard in that game. 14-7. Well, changes now for Detroit. Ulysses Norris has come in. They're going to have two tight ends in on this play.
And I wouldn't think that Gary Danielson would run it on a quarterback sneak. That's what Steve Fuller did down there for a touchdown. But I think that Danielson in this situation will probably go to Sims or Bussey. I know I would if I were Danielson.
There we go. Set up Danielson. He gives to Sims. Sims has it. Billy Sims, first down inside the 15-yard line. And so Detroit keeps this drive going. They've got a lot of time in this football game. Less than 7 minutes. As Billy Sims retreats back to the huddle. You know, the thing about Detroit, they had a slogan this year, from worst to first. They were the worst last year, winning only 2 games, and this guy was leading a real comeback by Detroit in 1980.
And that was Tampa Bay's slogan a year ago.
In motion goes Scott. Here's Sims. Sims to the 10. Sims to the 5. He stays on his feet, but they say he's out of bounds before he got into the end zone. He tried to tightrope walk that far sideline. Let's see where they're going to mark it. Just inside the 5.
I'll tell you, as we watch this, it's an I formation play. A flip to get him outside. He's being led there by Bussey, who gets a nice block there on Howard. Lets him get around that corner. And when he gets around and turn it up, you know, he not only runs with speed and quickness, but did you see that strength when he hit Gary Green?
Gary Green was all that kept him from going in. Second down, 1 to go for a first and goal at the 3.5-yard line. Danielson to Sims. Sims trying to get the first and goal. It looks like he may have. He only needed a yard. Following the left side of that offensive line, which is Elias and Baldischweiler. Really the only healthy side of that line right now, as Detroit's had to do some patchwork on that right side as well as center. Let's see if they got the first and goal. Still no indication.
And their patchwork has been doing a fine job today because they've run equally well on that right side.
They didn't get it, John. It's third, and it can't be more than an inch to go. Third and about, you guess how many inches. There, he's tied that record we mentioned earlier, 860 yards for a rookie. 1967, Mel Farr did that. Our producer, Jim Silman, giving us that information. Here we go, third down. And they have a first and goal. Dexter Bussey that time.
They cheated Bussey up on that one. He was a lot closer to Danielson than normal, and he really hit that hole in a hurry. He got the first down, darn near broke it for a touchdown. See, it's a little quick trap up inside. Bussey was cheated where he was only about 2 or 3 yards behind Danielson, where he was in a position to hit the hole quick.
Detroit trying to tie this game up. 5:35 remaining. 17-10 Kansas City. Another impressive drive by the Detroit Lions. First and goal. You see it at the 2-yard line. Billy Sims. Sims diving. He's short. He was completely turned around by Barbaro, who was shaken up earlier in this game. Boy, that Barbaro has really hit some people in this game.
Watch this effort. You know, you think of how a human body can take this type of punishment that Billy Sims has been taking, because every time he carries the ball, he's been getting hit. Now, had that been the other type of somersault, you see his feet ended up in front of his head in the ball. Had it been the reverse, it could have been a touchdown.
That's a hard way to pick up a yard.
There's a tired man.
Here we go. Second and goal at the 1-yard line. Danielson to Sims. He's in. Touchdown. Billy Sims. Just a magnificent effort on his part. And now a chance to tie up this game as Eddie Murray comes in. There's some fans from Toledo, Ohio.
There's someone that is really getting a lot of fans today, and I'm one of them. I appreciated Billy Sims before, but this effort that he's putting on today is something very special and amazing.
Well, at the top of the show, Art Still said we compared Sims to the Campbells and the O.J. Andersons, and that's a very apropos comparison. Murray now, there's Mangiro, 74, firing across. Bollinger indicating that he was offside and not offside, and they are still hot down there in the trenches.
They are, and that all started on that Thomas Howard penalty. You know, that gave the Lions a big play, and it fired up both teams, and it's still carrying on.
By golly, it's going to go against Detroit, I believe. It was a 1st and 20 as you look back on that play, and the roughing the passer gave Detroit that automatic first down.
Now, don't think that this isn't a big play there. That 5-yard penalty.
Illegal snap, number 74, offense.
That would be Mike Whited, the rookie that we've been mentioning. Now, Murray, he's going to be the same as kicking a 29-yard field goal now.
But he's had longer to think about it, though.
That's right. He kicked a 20-yard field goal earlier in this game. Murray's kick is up, and this game is tied up. 17-17. We have a dandy here at Arrowhead Stadium with 4 minutes, 38 seconds left to be played. This crowd of near 60,000 getting the money's worth.
Hi, I'm Fran Tarkenton with a great new game. It's Kenner's fantastic new live-action football. It sure beats those old blips and dots games. Play the computer or a friend. You see and control all the action. You see the tackles, you make them. There are interceptions, conversions, safeties. Live-action football makes me feel I'm back in the game. Who says I can't win the big one, huh, guys? Electronic live-action football, new from Kenner.
In my first term, we've not found all the answers, and we've made some mistakes. But it's fair to say that we've made responsible choices for America. A pioneering energy program, an economy now headed in the right direction, a peaceful nation searching for a wider peace. In achieving these things, I've learned a great deal. Today, I'm an established and experienced president, and I'm looking forward to being an even better president in my second term. But first, of course, I'll need your vote on November 4th.
Re-elect President Carter.
See the battle of the NFL cheerleaders, the Fats Mosconi Pool Challenge, and the Acapulco Cliff Divers next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
Trailing Philadelphia 14-0, Chicago scored and kicked off. The Eagles then were attempting to bring the ball out when Louis Giammona, who's playing in place of Wilbert Montgomery, coughed it up and the Bears fell on it. From there, Vince Evans drove the Bears down to within scoring range, and then the former University of Southern California star did it himself, and a 360 as he went into the end zone. Bob Thomas kicked the extra point, and now the Bears and the Eagles are tied in the fourth. Back to Gary Bender.
Brent, thank you. We have it tied up here, too. 17-all with 4:38 remaining in the game. Murray to kick off. Horace Belton is back deep now for Kansas City. Billy Sims with 155 yards for the day. Well, that's a funny kick. It's going sideways. Belton having trouble with it.
Those are hard to handle.
Now, does he have to bring that?
Yeah, he has to bring it out.
Well, now they say the impetus of the ball took him in there.
But then it's a muff, right? If the impetus of the ball went through him, if he didn't catch it or ever have control of it, then he can down it in the end zone, and I'm sure that's what they ruled. Had he had control and it went in, then he would have to leave it there. If we watch it again, you see, no, that's true. He didn't have control. The impetus took the ball into the end zone, so he can touch it down there, and the ball will come out on the 20.
You know, one of the key men on that play was Morgado. He was coaching him down here.
He was giving him directions. That's smart.
3 wide receivers now for Kansas City. Look at that. The only overtime game in 75. We may have one here. This J.T. Smith. Smith out to the 39-yard line. And the Chiefs waste no time, picking up 19 yards on that pass. First down at the 39. Our time, 4:13 left. Ken Fantetti making the stop for the Detroit Lions. We talked about the importance of this game. Detroit, after losing 2 of their last 3, would really like to pull out this one. Detroit's got a tough road to hoe. They're going to be facing some teams next week. San Francisco. On the other hand, Kansas City will be here next week against Baltimore. Then they go on the road for 3 straight weeks. 2 tight ends in. Belton gets 2 yards to the 41-yard line. Be second down 8. Charlie Weaver, who according to Monty Clark is playing his best football of his career. There's Levy on the sideline as they send in now 2 wide receivers, J.T. Smith and Stan Rome. Second and 8.
The first thing they call as they go in there is a formation, so they know whether they're a tight end or 3 wide receivers or 2 tight ends. Then they go in and call the play in the huddle.
2 very well coached teams here today. 3:12. Second down and 8. Fuller on the second down. Time to throw. Smith, he's got it. Covering on the play, Walt Williams of Smith with 2 big catches on this drive. First down at the 43-yard line of Detroit. 15 yards on the play.
We see the linebacker blitz coming from the middle. Fantetti, they were trying to get extra pressure on Fuller, but the fact that they blitzed, that put him in a man coverage where Walt Williams was man-to-man, and of course they got the completion.
Walt Williams has 1 interception this year. He's a 4th-year man from New Mexico State. He's had all kinds of problems with his shoulder, but he's been healthy this year. First down at the 43. They have Nick Lowry, who's kicked a 57-yard field goal this year. This is Ted McKnight picking his way to the 41-yard line. Gain of 2, second down 8. Fantetti again. Boy, Fantetti's been in on a lot of tackles in this game. Mentioned last week he had 9 solos and 4 assists against Chicago.
Right, and the Lion defense has done a real good job against Ted McKnight. They've kept him under control this whole game.
A 2-minute warning is here. 2 minutes with which to decide this issue in regulation time. It's all tied 17-all.
Introducing an American car designed for a changing world and with a commitment to quality. The beautifully new Ford Granada in a new smaller size with its highest mileage ratings ever. And with Ford's attention to detail, every door is hand adjusted. Every seat is hand fitted. Every car is examined by 38 quality inspectors. The kind of detail you can see, feel, and hear. The new Granada, built for a changing world from Ford.
Yes, sirree. Them Daltons had Jesse and the gang trapped. Now, old Jesse had a way out. Of course, it worked much to the gang's liking, but Jesse had some Stroh's beer, and he knowed his gang would follow that Stroh's beer anywhere. Well, them boys got clean away. Now, you may not believe this here tale, unless, of course, you drink Stroh's beer.
Live for the title, see undefeated WBA lightweight champion Helmer Kenty meet top-ranked WBC contender Villamar Fernandez, Saturday, November 8th on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
2 minutes remaining. Kansas City has 3 timeouts remaining. At the 41-yard line, 2nd down, 8 yards to go. 17-all is our score from Arrowhead Stadium. Steve Fuller, who is on this drive, has hit J.T. Smith with 2 strikes. Now comes out facing a nickel defense. 5 defensive backs in for Detroit. Fuller to Smith again. They're picking on Walt Williams over here, and J.D. Smith is the man who's been receiving those passes. Out of bounds at the 28. That's another first down. Stops the clock with 1:55 remaining.
Right, they've been working on the outside in this formation. Last week against Denver, they put Henry Marshall in the slot. He caught 6 passes, his high as a Chief, and I'm sure that Detroit worked against that because they had 2 and 3 men on Marshall, and they left J.T. Smith singled out here against Walt Williams, and that's where Fuller's been going to work the last 2 times. Now here, I think he is very close. He has his field goal here. Now he cannot do anything to lose yards.
Smith has 6 catches for 86 yards in this game. Is that a broken play? Fuller on a bootleg. I believe that was a broken play.
I'm sure that was a broken play, and that was the thing that they can't afford here is they can't afford to lose any yards. Now he got the ball back close to the line of scrimmage, and that won't hurt because he has his field goal. They will try to run the clock down where Detroit won't get the ball back. Although Detroit isn't going to let them do that because they're taking a timeout right now.
Well, that's playing with confidence. But you take the timeout as they're playing that they think they're going to get the football back. Steve Fuller, you could see that he took the blame for that last play.
Now, the Firestone steel-belted Trax 12 radial. Trax 12 has special traction bars for pulling power in snow, but they're hidden in the Trax 12 tread for smooth, quiet turnpike driving. Long-lasting Trax 12 with traction you can see. Traction 12 months a year. Trax 12, Firestone's lowest-priced steel-belted white wall radial.
I'm hurting in places I didn't know I had. They got me doing things I never thought I could. Feeling good, feeling strong. Heart is something I belong.
The Army can make you feel a lot of ways. Challenged, trained, and proud.
With this time, with these people, with this feeling, feeling good, feeling good.
Detroit has 2 timeouts remaining. They stop the clock. You see the time remaining. If they kick the field goal right now, John, we're just speculating to be 44 yards.
And that's well within Nick Lowry's range. They know that. All they want to do is run time off the clock, not lose any yardage, nor get a penalty.
2nd down, 10 as you look at Fuller. Fuller gives to McKnight. McKnight inside the 25 to the 24. It'll bring up a 3rd down. 3rd down, still 7 yards to go. Woodcock with a stop. McKnight has been having a tough time. He's gotten up very slowly on 2 or 3 different occasions. And here's another example.
Right, and Detroit has taken another timeout. What they're feeling is that if Kansas City does kick a field goal, they want time when they get the ball back.
Quiet me, comfort me. The day's been long, so quiet me, LTD. And let me drive my cares away, far away, to where I want to be. Now I see suddenly the worry letting go of me. Peace, quiet, comfort. Discover a world called LTD. Quiet me, LTD.
This Bud's for everybody who puts in a hard day's work.
This Bud's for you, for all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
3rd down and 6 for Kansas City. And checking the stats, the only field goal that Nick Lowery has missed this year was from 53 yards away. He is 10 of 11 here in 1980. He'll be coming on after this play. Morgado gets to about the 22-yard line. 4th down, and it's all on the leg of number 8, Nick Lowery. Well, talk about pressure. This guy has been able to do everything that they've asked. Last week he kicked 3 field goals of 37, 39, and 34. And here today he came in and kicked a field goal.
And there's time out here, so he really has time to think about it. And this is a different thing. This is a real pressure kick for him. Plus the Detroit Lions will be in an all-out field goal block.
And the pressure kick coming up. You see he kicked the 57-yarder in that game. He also kicked another one over 50 yards. Became only the 4th player in the history of the National Football League to accomplish that feat. He already has a 52-yarder today. That was the first scoring of this game, and that was the first play of the 2nd quarter. But this is a little different.
This is a little different. He had plenty of time to think about it. And one thing those kickers don't like is a lot of time to think about it. Plus, it's not the easiest kick in the world. It's on the hash mark. He's kicking from the left hash mark.
40-yard attempt. Fuller to hold. The crowd is getting to their feet here in Arrowhead. Lowery trying to win this football game. The kick up by Lowery, and it is good. Nick Lowery from 40 yards away. He is now 11 of 12 in this season, and with 1:14 left in this game, Kansas City's taken a 20-17 lead, and Warpaint, I think he's even smiling.
Warpaint smiling, yeah. I tell you, Lowery knew that he made this right after it hits his foot. Watch his reaction here. Boom, the ball is hit. Now, right now, before it gets there, he knows that he has it. He puts his hands up. The ball was about halfway to the goalpost when he made that reaction.
John, it just amazes me. This is the 5th stop for Nick Lowery. He had trials, it seems like, everywhere, and all of a sudden, he's become a premier kicker. What's happened?
Well, sometimes it takes that. You know, you can't give a lot of kickers time in training camp. You have to decide on one and let him work. So a lot of times they don't get the opportunities. A lot of times it just takes a few years for them to get in. And there's a lot of kickers like that in the National Football League that have been with other teams. There's also, most kickers today, it's interesting, 24 out of the 28 kickers in the National Football League today are soccer-style kickers.
And you had kind of a reason for that, too. Using the shoes, that they have to come up.
Those square-toed shoes anymore.
Lowery kicks this extremely high. Rick Kane at the 15-yard line, the 20, and he's out to the 24. Now, Detroit has no timeouts remaining. 1:11 left in the game. They trail 20-17. That was Stan Rome who made the tackle. And when you have no timeouts left, John, you really got to approach it differently.
Well, you have to. You have to pass in this situation, and you have to get the ball to the sidelines.
Tonight on CBS starts with a brand new edition of 60 Minutes, then a CBS special movie presentation, Father Figure, followed by Alice and the Jeffersons. It's all on CBS tonight. From the 24-yard line, Detroit trying somehow to pull this game out. Trailing 20-17, Danielson throws. Whitney Paul had a crack at an interception, as did Gary Spaney. Don Parrish hit Danielson just as he released the football. Danielson now is kind of motioning around. I think that play was not run correctly. He was a little, I think, dismayed at what developed pass pattern-wise.
I think he was waiting for someone to start working back to him. And you see the fact that they don't have any timeouts. The Chiefs know that they have to pass, work the ball to the sidelines, so they are overcompensating, over-defending the sidelines, making him throw into the defense.
On 2nd and 10, Danielson, Freddie Scott defending on the play, Herb Christopher. You know, I haven't heard a lot about Herb Christopher. He's played very well today.
He has played very well today. He's made some big plays, and that last one was just an example of overplaying the sidelines. They had him underneath and on the outside and on the inside because they know that they have to do it. The Chief defense is just running to the sidelines. This is a very tough thing for Gary Danielson and the Detroit Lions, but the Chiefs have played very intelligent football in this situation.
Danielson 7 of 16 now for 102 yards, a 1 interception. Detroit would like to maintain their 2-game lead in the NFC Central, but it's slipping away right now on a 3rd and 10. Pressure, Danielson got rid of it as he was hit hard by Art Still. And this crowd, this partisan Chiefs crowd, sensing that maybe their team's going to win their 4th in a row.
I'll tell you, they're excited about it, and I'll tell you someone else that I'm sure is excited about that, and that is the chief owner, Lamar Hunt. And he's a very special man to all of us. You know, he was one of those, that foolish club that started the AFL, gave a lot of us an opportunity. He's the president of the AFL, and I know that, of the AFC now, excuse me, but he's one man. I have a lot of respect for a number of owners, but Lamar Hunt is a man that's very high up in all our feelings.
And the first from the AFL to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We want to give credit to some people who have been just doing a super job today. Our executive producer, Charles Milton III. Our producer, gentleman, Jim Silman. Always a pleasure to work with him. And a guy that we kidnapped from the NFL today. Got him out here in the Midlands, Bob Fishman.
That was a good move.
Yes, sir. And our associate producer, Rupert Kopenix. Boy, it's been fun today, and what a game it's been. Engineer in charge. This gang has really done a super job for us. Manu Maliuna has now come out of the lineup. He was shaken up on that last play. 4th down. This is it for Detroit. 58 seconds left in the game. Danielson, his last gasp effort here to keep their hopes going. There's a flag. Danielson running. He has a 1st down all the way to the 50, 45, 43. Now there's a flag back at the 22-yard line, I believe. Nobody's paying any attention to it.
Right, and
there's a flag, and they're going to have to stop it now.
The clock now.
I thought for a moment nobody noticed it. 32-yard run by Danielson. John, that really changes the complexion now with 43 seconds.
I know it, and it's not against the Lions because they're moving the chains up there, which means that the Lions have a 1st down.
Encroachment, defense, penalty decline, 1st down.
And with that effort by Danielson, the Lions are still alive.
Yeah, because they have 43 seconds, and although they have no timeouts, that's still plenty of time.
They trail by 3. What a game this has been. Jesse Thompson, Fred Scott at the bottom of the screen, split out. Danielson on his 1st down. He may run again. And he's going to. This time, though, he's going to have to hurry as the clock continues to run with 32 seconds. Right. He got to the 40-yard line, picked up only 3 yards. 27 seconds. You see the time.
And the umpire will keep his foot on the ball until the referee tells him to take it off.
The time getting away. Danielson is running out of time. He can't afford to get sacked. He tries to get rid of it. Now that will stop the clock on the sack with 14 seconds. But they lose yardage back to the 50. Now Danielson trying to get him huddled up. They'll wait till everybody deploys himself. Danielson trying to get a play called without a huddle. Boy, that's tough, isn't it?
No, he didn't let him throw that ball. He said he blew the whistle before he got rid of it. So the clock's running.
4 seconds to go. Danielson on the Big Ben play. And it is intercepted. The Chiefs have won it. Coming up is Eric Harris with the interception. And Kansas City has won their 4th in a row. They are 4-4 at the halfway point of this 1980 season. Detroit now drops to 5-3. But what an effort by the Detroit Lions.
What an effort by both teams. You know, we were talking about the teams and things that they've done on offense and defense. And I think a lot of effort, a lot of good things should be said about both of these coaches.
let's look at the last play. Danielson just trying somehow to get the ball down the field and get it tipped up and maybe get it into the end zone.
Or maybe get an interference. That's the other opportunity that you have here, is that you can get a completion, you can get a tip, or you could get an interference when you throw it up there.
Eric Harris with his 3rd interception. Well, you said at the start of the year, John, that the Kansas City Chiefs would be one of the surprise teams in the NFL, and it certainly has proved to be true as they've won their 4th in a row here today. So, John, it's been fun. The final 20-17 in favor of Kansas City. For John Madden, I'm Gary Bender. Let's now join Chicago and Philadelphia.